Guys, कल मेरी नई बाइक आ रही है.
Great. तब तो I will come with Rohan every day.
इंश्योरेंस है.
तुझे क्या लगता है? इंश्योरेंस, पीयूसी सब कुछ है.
I was talking about life insurance for Sia.
Jokes apart, guys, but आज मजा कल सजा नहीं होनी चाहिए.
Yeah.
Seriously, life insurance तो जरूरी है.
LIC का न्यू जीवन आनंद देता है डबल फायदा. मैच्योरिटी पे मिले फुल पेमेंट और लाइफ कवर चले जिंदगी भर.
ए हेलो, इंश्योरेंस है क्या?
Hello and welcome to day one of HT NxT. Today, joining us live are the true sporting geniuses of the country. For the first session of the day, we have with us Kapil Dev, the former captain of the Indian cricket team, and Hardik Pandya, the talented Indian all-rounder, in conversation with Ayaz Menon.
Hello and welcome to the Hindustan Times Next Leadership Summit. This summit is about looking at things that might happen, the changes that will come about, and the leadership attributes that can influence these changes, which I think is a fantastic initiative by the Hindustan Times, because we are the world is in a state of massive flux and at rapid speed. So changes are not only inevitable, but they're going to come far more swiftly than they did in the past. For this session, I've got with me two of the most formidable names in Indian cricket. One, of course, is Kapil Dev. He needs no introduction, in my opinion, and I say this repeatedly. He doesn't quite agree at times. He contests it, but I say he's the greatest cricketer we've had in India in our history. And then I've got with me Hardik Pandya, who's, if I might say so, in the Kapil Dev mold. He's a fast bowling all-rounder, and amongst the most exhilarating cricketers playing today. I watched so much of Kapil Dev, and I can say without fear of being refuted that there are shades one sees of Kapil Dev in Hardik also. Every time he takes the field, certainly when he's batting, and even more emphatically when he's fielding, because he's such a marvelous fielder. So without much ado, let me welcome both Kapil and Hardik. Thank you for joining us here, and hopefully we'll get some wonderful insights from the two of you, two different eras to be mapped in the same sport. It's like some kind of a connectivity, passing the baton, so to speak. Things change, as I mentioned. We are all in a state of massive flux. Change is inevitable, but the speed of change is something that we need to get a grip on, how things happen. Kapil Dev, greatest cricketer India has produced. Hardik Pandya, I'm sure he uses that as a benchmark, as an all-rounder, aspiring to get there. Mighty boots to fill, but that's really the challenge for every generation. And then also how he can become the change leader or the influence to change. So, welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Hey, first of all, I'll say I can't match Kapil sir's shoes, but I've always mentioned it as well many times that for me, if I get 10% of all what he did in that era, I think I'll be a successful cricketer, and I genuinely mean it, not to just say it.
I think he's talking rubbish.
No, sir.
He is such a good cricketer. I like the best part about him. He's a great athlete, which is the most important thing for any sportsman. You have to be an athlete. Cricket is one. You don't have to be an athlete. Still, you can be a good cricketer. But I think he's really, I look up to him and say, what a lovely athlete he is.
So let me start with you, Kapil. You mentioned about Hardik being a great athlete, and apart from obviously being a wonderful cricketer, and that's not something that was this common in your era. Cricketers were cricketers and athletes were athletes, and there was a distinction. Today, that gap has narrowed, and especially if we see how our team has progressed. Today, even the Indian team, which didn't earn many points earlier for being, a good fielding team when you were playing 30-40 years back, this has how has this change come about कि हमको athlete भी बनना है, ना सिर्फ cricketer ही बनना है, and what was your own role in making that change or influencing that change?
I think majority of the time Mumbai cricket dominated, and they somehow it was very tough to work very hard on in Mumbai. Condition was such, and most of the people come from Chennai. I think they believe in just taking wicket and getting runs, and that was the most important thing. But slowly, cricket start changing, and you can see the things change over the period of time, and everybody start believing you have to be a great athlete to be play any sports, and it change took place, but not so fast. Today, I can say out of 15 people, 10 are great athletes. In our time, 2 or 3 was athlete. So that's a big change in Indian cricket. That's why they are playing so well.
And Hardik, when you were growing up, obviously there's been a generational change. It's been 20, 30 years after Kapil has finished his career, and all you guys are coming up, youngsters growing in Baroda, you growing up with your brother, aspiring to play for India. And he's obviously mentioned a lot about Mumbai. Kapil has mentioned about a lot about Mumbai and how Mumbai cricket used to be. It's nothing to do with Mumbai Indians, let me assure you. But how it had a kind of a predominant or preeminent position in Indian cricket. It's a different situation today. It's a different generation altogether. But growing up as you did you see yourself as a cricketer primarily or as an athlete who's playing cricket?
I think first of all, when fitness was one, I always felt I was very lean. So I always felt that I need to train to play the sport. It was always, my fitness was always around to make sure that I play the sport. So in that,
Right.
I think I went, naturally it came to me as well. And I think at that point of time when I didn't knew that what I'm putting right now is going to help me 5 years down the line, because Kapil sir must be from start, he must be an all-rounder. For me, I had to make that jump at the age of 19 or 20. So I think that fitness helped me. Before that, I never bowled fast bowling. Before I played India, I think I bowled 1 year only. So I think there's fitness, which I think I did in childhood, help a lot.
Oh, that's really interesting because even Kapil, he says, Hardik says that he became a bowler at the age of 19, and that's very interesting because that's a fairly advanced age to start, looking to bowl. Because if you've not started as a bowler, then to start at the age of 19, and then to make such rapid strides and become recognized as one of the major all-rounders in India with you, in the early 20s. How does this change happen? I mean, can you start so late with a particular kind of skill and make it towards that level of excellence? What does it take to reach that standard, that benchmark where you're taken seriously as a fast bowler? ऐसा नहीं है कि मजाक में नेट्स में bowling कर दिया और उसके साथ he's become a part-time bowler or bowling out of just interest but not reaching a level of excellence. What does it take? How does one make that transition and say, hey, I'm a bowler also?
You're asking me or asking him?
Yes, Kapil. Yes, you. We'll learn
Oh,
something from you and then we'll move to Hardik.
I personally feel when you are an athlete, you can do anything. You can do off spin, leg spin, whatever it is. And when you are good in one thing, when you're playing, you get a chance to bat a ball. Or sometimes a new ball always attract most of the young people, and you have a ball. And as he said, he's lean and quick on his feet. So when you start bowling in the net or bowling with a friend, slowly people will start saying, "Oh, you are doing much better than other people," and that's really make a change. When I start batting, it was the same thing. People start saying he can bat too. So sometimes you don't know your own ability. Around you, people start talking, well, he's a good batsman or he's a good bowler also. I think he was a good athlete. He could bat so well. And suddenly when you are bowling with your friends and you start disturbing the batsman with your pace or swing or cutters, then you start looking into that and the team start pushing you. You should bowl. That's what it happened with me when I was batting. You can bat, you must bat, you can bat well. And that's how you become an all-rounder sometimes.
Fantastic. So Hardik, when did you feel that you could become an all-rounder? You started late, but just from watching you, one knows that there is this terrific ball sense that you have, and that the variations that come in, we know, which require not a lot, not just a lot of skill, but also mental aptitude. The skill is not in just the bowling action or the delivery stride; it's also how you visualize how you're going to attack a batsman, and get his wicket, so to speak. And it's there was a need in I think in the Indian team of an all-rounder. And did you sense that there was a need, and then you said, okay, chalo, let me push myself. There is this slot and an opening in the Indian team that can happen. Remember, you were from Baroda. They won you all have won the Ranji Trophy a few times, but it was not Bombay or Delhi or Karnataka or Chennai that you came from. Not one of the bigger centers. So. How did you plan your own career from the time you were a teenager?
For me, I don't think I had that much amount of brain to think so forward in life. For me, it was simple. I became an all-rounder genuinely by luck. That too, I think my some good deeds helped me, because no one was there when I started bowling. I was helping out my under 19 bowlers, because they apparently were bowling so much, and I was a batsman who was batting at number 3. So just to help them out, I used to borrow their shoes also, because I didn't have fast bowling shoes. So I used to help them out in the last stage of the nets. And somehow Sanat Kumar sir was our Ranji Trophy coach, and somehow he was watching our under 19 practice from some 200 meters, and he realized that I can bowl as well. So next game, somehow he came to watch our local premier game, and in that, that's something luck by chance, because it was a green top wicket, and I play for Kiran More Academy. So in that game, no fast bowler was there. So I actually took someone else's shoes, and I bowled, and I took a fifer, and in like 1 month, Sanat sir took me for this thing, Ranji Trophy. So before that, I didn't bowl. So my first game was T20 Ranji Trophy in, I think, a month's time or 2 months' time.
So, Kapil, just share us some thoughts on whether, there was this great burden and the pressure of expectations when you exploded on the scene in 1978, primarily as the fast bowler, and within a couple of seasons, especially after the series against Pakistan and the West Indies at home and all those, from 78, 79, 80, you suddenly become one of the world's biggest all-rounders. Or, there's this double demand in you to be a bowler, a wicket-taking bowler, as well as a batsman, lower order, but somebody who can bail out the team, who can play explosively. How did you learn to handle the demands which were made on you from both aspects, from batting and bowling?
I asked what you said, it's a pressure. It's not a pressure, it's a pleasure. You are batting, not getting runs, you go and put extra effort in the bowling. You're not getting wicket, you go and try your luck more in the batting. So you have an option also. Yes, for that, if you have to work hard or you have to enjoy more. I never say on the field, I work hard. I enjoy on the field doing something, or doing fielding or batting or bowling. So I always feel I have opportunity to show my ability in 3 sides: batting, bowling, fielding. So there is not a pressure. I thought it's less pressure to an all-rounder than a pressure to a genuine batsman or genuine bowler. If a batsman is out twice, not getting runs, it will be so much he have to perform so badly. But as an all-rounder, if I didn't get runs, okay, let me try and pick up 5 wickets. And that's what it happened. I would say it's not a pressure at all.
Hardik, in your case, I mean, you're from the modern era, and now we've got, three formats, different formats, colored balls. Most of the time when Kapil Dev played, he was playing with the red ball and, white clothes. You're now, everybody is playing under lights, colored clothing. The formats have changed. There's also a new format, the T20. And all-rounders, from an all-rounder's point of view, how do you compartmentalize your thoughts when you're approaching a match? Because there's obviously a basic preparation you look for, applying the skills that you have, or enhancing your skills during nets and practice, or even during the match, learning from the others to take your game forward. But that does that create certain hardships and issues because you have to keep switching from one format to the other, or does it just come naturally?
I mean, I will completely agree with Kapil sir, because for me also, obviously the preparation wise, always someone who has always been trying to learn something new, but it has been process oriented. I have never went for, I think I don't see the result at the end of the day. I like to focus on the processes, and as Kapil sir said, for me also on the same point, I don't think as an all-rounder we have less pressure as well, because as Kapil sir said, something if one department we are not able to perform, we still have one more department where we can contribute a lot, and fielding is obviously there we can contribute in all the games. So as I said, as an all-rounder, I've always focused on improving, because in my bowling I needed to work a lot, because when I came, I didn't have much idea about which balls I have to bowl, what are the variations I have to get in my game. So I was focusing more on working and learning the proper basics. So I started from good length. I started to make sure that my accuracy goes high. In that all process, I started working on my variation, and I think with time I was able to learn a lot of things and what I knew when I came.
So, which aspect do you like or enjoy more? I've watched Kapil all my life, from his first match to his last. What do you enjoy more? And I know what Kapil, I think, enjoyed both. What do you enjoy more? Batting, bowling, or do you get an equal sense of enjoyment in whatever the skills you are displaying?
For me, obviously, batting holds a very special place in my heart, because I love seeing the ball go in the air, and I generally enjoy doing that. So for me, batting is always close, but nowadays I'm enjoying my bowling more. I'm surprised, but I'm enjoying my bowling more because I'm able to execute things which I have been working out. So I think the love has gone mutual now. Before, obviously, it was batting, but now I genuinely have equal love for both the departments.
So, Kapil, you obviously enjoyed your batting, and I can have multiple programs and only talk about your batting, not about your bowling, which was obviously your first or the strongest suit, but you had such wonderful exploits with the bat. But what Hardik mentioned, and you also mentioned, that you knew that if you didn't do well in one aspect of the game, then you had a chance to redeem yourself in the other, and therefore it gives a bit of an advantage to an all-rounder, because it means that the team is looking at you to put more onus. You've got multiple skills, and the team is looking to put more onus on the all-rounder, because you can become a 2-in-1 or a 3-in-1 cricketer, including fielding, who can make the crucial difference. I'm just trying to lead the conversation to the World T20, which is coming up, and Kapil, you can share your thoughts. But first, let me ask Hardik, because I understand it from the outside, is seen as the most crucial factor in the formation of the squad because of the depth and balance his skills bring to the team, of being a fast bowling all-rounder. And therefore, if Hardik is not injured or 100% fit or out of form, then it affects the whole composition of the team, and it bothers the selectors. They can go into a tizzy, and that's how important the role of the all-rounders become. So one is, how do you, Hardik, how do you respond to that situation of the challenge for yourself? And then I'll take Kapil's opinion on how one can go about looking at the situation.
So for me, I think obviously I want to play all the matches possible and be there to make sure, because I am someone when I am there, I always play for the team. So, but obviously I've started to accept the fact as well that sometimes I won't be around because my injuries or because of something is not there. But for me, I always try to make sure that's why I work. That's why I think my process keeps me very motivated, because I always, even if some setback comes, I always think about process, and that process excites me more to come back and become better than what I have been before I get injured. So, and matter of fact, I also accept the fact that when I am there, things are very different, because it helps a lot in we can play a batter, we can play a spinner, or we can play one more fast bowler. So I realize the fact, but there are things which I can control. And that is something which I make sure I keep working hard, and I don't see the result there.
So Kapil, what would be your advice? I mean, Hardik, as we all know what his abilities are and the potential he has, and I mentioned about the way the selectors would be thinking, or the team management, the captain, and the coach, believing that if Hardik comes in, it ticks so many boxes in the squad, and therefore you see him as very critical. Now, he's talked about his injury. You had, virtually an injury-free career, you personally, apart from one operation, if I remember, which made, you missed a tournament, but you never missed a test match, barring one, for reasons not of fitness or form. That's a different story. But in a long career of fast bowling, which is to be so injury-free, what is it that modern cricketers like Hardik should look for or should do to have that kind of a non-stop career as much as possible? I mean, injuries are part and parcel of sport, can happen to anybody, including the best. But what would be your take on this? What could be your advice to Hardik? If you have something to say to him.
I don't know today's cricketer. Their thinking is totally different. If I have to tell something to the young cricketer, I would say go and do running as much as you can. Your muscle will develop, and bowl as much as you can in the net or bowl in the matches. When you become a only 4 overs bowler, then it becomes a very difficult. Injuries going to take place. But if your muscle is developed when you're bowling lot of overs in the nets, and that is important. I know today's cricketers spend a lot of time in the gym. I would say gym is only when there is a rain or some special muscle you want to improve. Otherwise, there can't be a better thing. Be on the ground, keep running. Your muscle will be better. And that's how you can reduce your injuries. Again, and injuries is something will happen to all the players. It doesn't matter. What you ask him about the question about all-rounder, I would say for a captain, 2 all-rounders are very important. One is a batting all-rounder, one is a bowling all-rounder. 90% all-rounder like Hardik is a batting all-rounder. I was a bowling all-rounder. So if the captain had 2 all-rounders like that in T20, it's really helped them. Then team become very solid. You can go with the 2 extra players there who can take the responsibility of every team. But if you have 1 all-rounder, then captains struggle. If one get injured, still you can adjust. But if both all-rounder get injured, then it can be very difficult for the team how to adjust and how to look after them. So I would say I look for 2 all-rounder. One is a batting all-rounder, one is a bowling all-rounder. Like I would say even Sachin Tendulkar or Saurav Ganguly, they are an all-rounder who can bowl few, but they are main batsmen. But what happens is when you become like Rohit or Virat Kohli, don't bowl at all, then it's difficult in T20. So everybody should try to bowl a few overs every day to keep the rhythm going.
Just what Kapil sir said, I completely agree, because when I was struggling with my back injuries as well, I think before 2018, I was pretty okay with my injuries. But I think that helped me as well, because as a child, I ran a lot. Like I used to run good 15, 16 rounds every week to make sure that running my endurance is high. The same thing which we had to go back again before I played the last Sri Lanka series. For me to bowl, I had to run a lot. I had to do a lot of running. I had to bowl a lot. I bowled, as Kapil sir said, exactly right. I had to bowl overs. I had to make sure that I am repeating. Even if I have to bowl 4 overs in the game, I was making sure I was bowling in the net 7 overs. So I still have 3 overs tank left if I need to bowl.
So that's interesting. But he mentioned about training methods and all that, how, just for the understanding of people who may not know, I mean, he talked about his methods earlier and what he feels is perhaps the best still to go around and hit the ground and run rather than, spend time in doing specialized training. So what's your take on that, and what's the mindset of the modern cricketer? I mean, you're dealing not just with your contemporaries in the Indian team, but those who come and play the IPL or meeting overseas cricketers who are of your age group, and how do they think?
I think I'll speak for myself. My training method, I kind of have realized with time that the fitter I get, the better I'll become in my sport. So for us, we spend a lot of time on skills, but that's equally we spend a lot of time on fitness as well. So my skill is 50% and my training is 50%. So as there are now it's different. We have tend to have 4 weeks of proper training and taking 1 week off. Then again 4 weeks starting. So just to make sure that the body is used to it and the fitness levels are high, and there are different kind of training, different kind of things. Now we have the facilities where we can avoid injuries as well in terms of making sure that the injuries or rehab has been done rightly.
So I want to ask you this thing because I think it's relevant in the context that we are talking today, with the World T20 coming up and generally the way the game has changed. So while Kapil Dev, all-time great all-rounder, Hardik Pandya, terrific all-rounder, you're such a crucial member of the team going ahead now. But there's also been a mushrooming of all-rounders because of T20. It's not just one or two special, all-rounders, so to speak, who will hog all the limelight. So many more teams and generating its own demand for all-rounders, as Kapil mentioned, for a batting all-rounder or a bowling all-rounder. There's a lot of competition that you are aware of that is happening because ultimately, a squad of 20, 24, nowadays 25, because of the pandemic, squads have become bigger and there'll be need for the selectors to look for 2, 3, maybe 4 all-rounders of even 5 all-rounders in the squad. और वैसे भी T20 में बहुत से players all-rounder ही बन गए हैं, they just it's not enough to be just a batter or a bowler. So how do you see that, for want of a better word, the threat that will be for you as an all-rounder or the threat you pose to other all-rounders? Because as a player, you want to be ahead of the others and the others want to be ahead of you.
No, on the same point, yes, you want to be ahead, but you want to, I want to be on the top of the line if I have to be through my sheer hard work and my sheer performance. My sport has to speak for me. So for me, I'm one of those individuals who, even if I'm achieving success, I would like to achieve everyone the same thing. That's why I genuinely I wish that Indian team have 6 all-rounders, because it's a better opportunity that if everyone gets a good competition as well. So I look at it in a very different way. For me, we should have 6, 7 all-rounders, making sure that anytime now, as you said, T20 is becoming an all-rounders game. So I would like to have fast bowling all-rounders. That's something which I'm looking forward, that even if anyone who has the ability should always look to get better at both the skills, because it's the things which we need all-rounders. So yeah.
Kapil, talking of all-rounders, one of the greatest moments in Indian sports history is obviously the 1983 World Cup win, where actually with you in the vanguard as an all-rounder, and you had this assembly of other all-rounders who performed so wonderfully in England, and we won that title. So in terms of, the international competition amongst the same set of players, maybe a set of 20, 25, 30 players who are at the elite level in Indian cricket, they're competing not just against the other team, but they're also competing amongst themselves for a place in the playing 11. Do you think this kind of competition makes players better and the team better? A lot of that one can see is happening currently. People are fighting for their places. The rewards are good. The recognition is fantastic, and livelihood is there. And is all of that making the team better in your opinion?
Well, I think if you have a competition among yourself, it's always good. Like if you have 2, 3 batsmen like Virat Kohli, Rohit, you always want to do one step better than other person. So it really helped. Like you have Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, Vijender Sehwag. If you have a competition of that level, very high level, it's helped the players. And same if you have 4, 5 all-rounder, like I would say Jadeja is one of the finest all-rounder. And same with Ashwin. Ashwin have to get more run to consider to be a better all-rounder. So if you have those type of all-rounder in the team, it's always good for the team. I don't know how good for yourself, but I think it's good for the team because a captain get an option to pick a better team. I would say competition among yourself is very, very important, and you get the best out of everybody.
Hardik, how do you keep yourself motivated? I mean, that there have been off periods, there have been injury layoffs. You missed out on several weeks or months because you hurt yourself or you've injured yourself, there've been how how do you get there are ifs and buts when injuries arise, and people, the critics and even the selectors start wondering कि ये injury है, इसके बाद क्या होगा, and players himself starts wondering कि ये injury है, इसके बाद क्या होगा, etc. etc. I think we have talked about this, but can you dwell on it a little better or a little more?
I ask, when you play for the country, you don't need motivation, man. You don't need motivation. If you need a motivation, then you should sit out. Playing for your country itself is the biggest
motivation.
Absolutely
On top of that, you make good money. You are famous. People love you. What else? That's enough motivation in life, I would say. I didn't let him answer that. If he had said something else, I wouldn't like it. I said, playing for the country itself is a motivation.
You have answered for him also and for yourself, but let me turn it around a little bit. And I ask you, I'll put that question to you now that there's so much attention. Now that let me put it a little more, emphatically. Now that there's so much attention, fame, rewards, financial or otherwise in the game, is there a need to be level-headed, rooted? Is that the challenge? And Hardik is no longer in the 18, 19, 20-year-old age group. So obviously he's been around for 6-7 years. But do you, Hardik, first of all, do you see this as one of the things that young cricketers in India, certainly, maybe elsewhere also, but they have to learn to cope with it from an early age? Maybe that's one of the things that needs to be put into the curriculum of Indian cricketers in the age group of 12, 14, 16, those who are emerging, coming up, on how to handle the attention, the fame, and the money in the rewards that can come in and can be a distraction or can, take your sight away, your focus away.
We always see, I think my family plays a big role in my life, because even when I was achieving success, we have a very, the vibe in the house is very honest. So we have been very honest to each other in all the ways, from criticizing each other to everything, whatever is there, we have always spoke about. So when I played also, for us, even I went here and there, but at the end of the day, I realized what is important is to play the sport. And as Sir said, that the motivation part always stays. It never goes. At the end of the day, you are representing your country. It's a different feeling as well. So for us, fame and everything is there, but we have started to realize that family is more important than everything, to be honest. So I'm able to cope up pretty well.
Okay, Kapil, I'm being very candid. I mean, you can go here and there, and then you raise yourself, or hold your rein in yourself and come back and focus on the job on hand. What's your take? Is that a pitfall in the modern era when you're so young? Because there's so many things that come across your way when you're very early and maybe not prepared for it. I in a recent interview I did with Rahul Dravid at the NCA, and he said there has to be at the junior age group things apart from cricket that also need to be discussed by the young with the young players, by the coaches, by the family, by other mentors. And as Hardik mentioned, maybe other mentors who may be not family or coach, because it is the attention, the pressure that can get the better of you at times.
Yeah, I will agree all your word, but never believe pressure. Somehow it's not in my dictionary. Pressure is not there. It's the life. It's the passion. You as a kid, you pick up bat and ball. You want to play, and you're playing for the country. And top of that, if you're making money and making life out of that, it cannot be pressure. It has to be pleasure. And that's where, sure, I agree with Rahul Dravid. We have to teach the youngster. It's not only you are playing for the country, you have a responsibility. And somebody, where cricket board have to teach them how to look after themselves, because so many cricketers come from a very humble background. They get little bit of money. They don't know how to handle themselves, because two things really, or three things I would say, really spoil a sportsman. Extra money sometimes can spoil, extra having a nightlife or having extra women's, that can spoil your life. As long as your family or your friend or your cricket board can put those things together and say all these things later, first is for your country, you have to play. I think somewhere in our time we didn't have money, so that part was gone. So we are not bothered about if you have extra money. There was no money, even not enough money to have a meal in the night together. So I think today there is a much more problem, I would say, when you have too much money, too much fame. Sometimes certain people can't handle that, and that is the responsibility of senior cricketer to guide. And the next generation will become a senior, like Hardik can be a senior cricketer in few years. His responsibility to teach the next generation. You have to look after yourself. What happened in 80s during the match fixing is, I would say, it's our fault. We have to teach the young cricketer, look after yourself, look after your family, look after your country. It's the responsibility you have to understand.
Well, Kapil has actually brought in a lot of issues under the ambit, I mean, and, looking after money, personality, people making sure that youngsters don't get led astray, etc., etc. But let me just shift a little away from the serious stuff and to some little fun things. And let me ask you, Hardik, what is it that gives you enjoyment outside of playing for India, playing for Mumbai Indians, the IPL, playing cricket? Outside of cricket, what is it that excites you? What is it that catches your attention? What is it that you love doing? Let's give us some insights into your personality.
It's very simple for me. Obviously, I love. There's a lot of things. I love cars. I love watches. That's a different story. But for me, what excites me the most post my cricketing series or whichever the games I'm playing is coming back to the house and having the whole family together, and then we are one. We have a laughter every night. Laughter rides at my house. So for me, that excites me the most.
Right. You seem to come across a fun-loving young man, even on the field, irrespective of how the match may be going or your own personal performances may be going. You don't kind of behave as if the earth is going to open up and swallow you if you've done poorly. You've still got a smile on your face, a sense of enjoyment that you treat the game as a game, and you must be good at the game. That's obviously a given, because otherwise you won't be at this level of competing. But you don't seem to be kind of completely consumed by success or failure. Am I getting that right in your approach to the sport?
I mean, I like to keep that way, because the amount of matches which we play right now, if I start getting ups and downs, if I start reacting and changing myself, it will be very difficult for me to cope up. So for me, I genuinely like to I genuinely like to celebrate my failures, because that gives me that motivation, added motivation as well, to make sure that when I'm having success, I remember my failures more. So I never celebrate my success, but I always make sure that I have a fun night if I fail that day. So I remember. So next time when I'm having good days, I value those good days more than what I just like to think that way.
Oh, that's very profound, Kapil, because you had a career stretching over 16, 17 years, as I mentioned earlier, and almost without a break, which is phenomenal. And you were, I can say this quite candidly, that you were never a grim personality. You loved being on tour. You enjoyed playing. You enjoyed the matches. You enjoyed the evenings out. You also played county cricket, which is a completely different experience, and you played non-stop for India. So, what is it that your advice would be? Not to Hardik, we've seen that he's the kind of personality that enjoys also, but to young cricketers, sometimes it is serious business. Cricket at the international level is serious business, but sometimes you get this impression that ऐसा लगता है कि कंधे झुक गए उनके. The burden of the world is on the sports person, and they may not be doing well at the game, but they're not enjoying the game. ऐसा भी आ जाता है scenario कि you feel that they're not enjoying themselves. So what is it? What is your suggestion? What is your advice?
Ayaz, ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. When something, what you have a passion, when you are 8, 10, 14 years old, you don't think about your career. I'm going to make so much money, this, that. You don't think. At that time, you just want to play and enjoy yourself. And as you start growing, like Hardik, today Hardik will start thinking, I have a family, I have to look after them. To us, we were playing extra. Can we make little bit of extra money? To them, there is money part is gone. It's not relevant to them so much. Yeah, it is relevant is, do I have this much or this much or this much? We used to say, we just want to have enough to survive ourselves. And we wasn't a professional. We were amateur. And cricket was coming to us to give us a kick off, slightly kick in our life. Okay, this is what happening. We are enjoying our passion and making little bit of money where we can make our life. Today's cricketer have to think much larger and bigger way. Not our time. Our time cricketer, when I often said that, I was playing cricket but getting scared. Once the cricket goes, how we will survive? We don't have a job. We don't have that lifestyle. You live in 5-7-star lifestyle. Suddenly you stop playing cricket. And what we see in our previous generation cricketer, they were struggling. So it was very difficult. So I can't be in their shoes and say it should be like that. But I feel very happy if they play 10 years, they can look after their life, not one generation, 2 generation, if they don't fool around. Sometimes you have too much money and you take things for granted. No, I think it's our responsibility to tell the next generation, look after your money. Money will take you lot better in life rather than not to have a money. Enjoy yourself, but look after yourself. This is what one thing I always believe. And I said to my agent cricketer, I used to say, have your own home, have a money where you can last, because prime time from 15, 16 to 35, you don't know what to do, how to do, क्या कर सकते हो आप, आपको कोई काम करना नहीं आता, ABC के अलावा कुछ नहीं आता, ABC is cricket, उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं आता. So it's a very, very difficult for our generation, but it's very much what we can see. We feel so happy, Virat Kohli is one of the richest sportsmen in the world. At least we feel, okay, sportsmen in this country is look up to that. And those things are very, very important. In our time, it wasn't that where we will play another 1 year, might make extra money and survive ourselves.
So, Hardik, last couple of questions before we wind up the session. What is it? When did you first hear of Kapil Dev? Did you, as a child? And who spoke to you about him? Was it Kiran More or was it somebody else? Or did you just read about him? How did you come to know Kapil Dev? That there was a cricketer called Kapil Dev for India.
I think from my childhood, because my father was always a cricket lover. He always used to watch a lot of. So I think it was his dreams, which he always wanted to play cricket, but he never had the opportunity. So that's why I think he gave us a lot of opportunity to play sport. And so obviously he spoke to he used to take Kapil sir's name many times, and that's how I think I initially got. Because I knew from very start. But sir, I have few questions. One of them.
Please.
How did Kapil sir, you managed to play for this long in terms of, as he asked as well, not having injuries, making sure that both part of your skill set got better with time. So how did you manage that? What was your thought process throughout your whole cricketing career?
No, if you're asking, normally I don't like to talk about myself, but if you're asking one thing you understand, you should know your body. Don't try to copy somebody, because you have your own strength, your own weakness. The day you understand your body, you will play much longer than other people. When you start copying other people, that's where the problem comes. If Virat Kohli can spend 3 hours in the gym after the match, you don't have to do if your body doesn't allow. So I always say to all the cricketer, try to understand your body. The day you come to know about yourself, you are much more peace and relaxed. If I am good enough to go for 10 rounds and I still have a power, I should go for 12 rounds. But if somebody is putting 15 rounds, I don't have to put. I have to be honest with myself and say, this is my body. Now, from there, I will start working little more, because human body is so good. More you work hard, better it will become time to time. So don't copy somebody. Just try to understand your body. You will be far better, because when injury take place, doctor don't know your injury. You only knows your injury. So you know your body. You have to understand your body. One line, understand your body. When you are running, when you're bowling, you know how fit you are.
Yes.
And in last 40, 50 test matches, if I reach halfway through the run-up, I come to know it's going to be no ball. So I stop. Because that much you should control your body. Once your body is controlled, then batting, bowling, fielding, everything comes so natural.
Thank you, sir. We will. And I
So,
just have
Hardik,
one more sweet memory as a fanboy moment with Kapil sir. I think, Kapil sir, you remember you called me. So when I got a call, for me, I didn't know how to answer the call, because so I answered, and for me it meant a lot that Kapil sir told me that दूध और हल्दी रात को पी के सोना. And for me, I called my father that time. I called my brother. Kapil sir, आपके कॉल के बाद मैंने सबको इन्फॉर्म कर दिया था.
No, I was just saying you are so talented, shouldn't get injured. If you have injuries, these small things for a fast bowler, to have little bit haldi in the morning or with the milk, it inside whatever the injuries as a cricketer or as a sportsman you have, it will rectify. So I was concerned. Never I like to call any cricketer. I learned one
No, but
thing.
I was blessed, sir.
No. I learned one thing. I learned one thing from Sunil Gavaskar. He said, if any cricketer needs you, he should call you. But I felt for you, and I said, no, he's such a young cricketer. He needs sometime help. I'm not teaching you about cricket. You know cricket very well. Sometimes the body is very important. If you can help each other, it makes sense.
Sir, I was lucky you called, sir. Genuinely, I genuinely mean it. I was lucky when I got, because for me that meant a lot, and it gave me a lot of happiness in my life. On a serious note, it was a small gesture from you. You didn't need it to, but you did for me. That was a very special thing.
But do you take haldi? पीले कपड़े ही पहनते हो, हल्दी भी खाते हो?
सर सुबह उठ के वो तो पीते ही, सुबह उठ के हल्दी और काली मिर्च का कुछ वो भी बोला है, वो भी पीता हूँ पूरा हल्दी भर के.
Internal injuries will taken care. That's all.
Yes.
Does it work for 66-year-olds also, or only 26-year-olds? Can I also start haldi and pepper?
Everybody, I think so many things I want to know about my life much later. So if I got something which is really important, I say to all the cricketer, my friends, the haldi is one thing which is not 1,000 years back also they used to say, chot lagi hai to haldi laga lo, haldi ka patch kar lo. Why? I mean, there is something sense about that. That's why I said to Virat, to him, I was very shy to call him, but I got his number. I said, let me call him and tell him, get ready to play for the country.
Hardik, I can tell you, he's not a shy man. It was wonderful for him to call like that. But let me just steer this thing back again to Hardik. What is it that you like the most about Kapil Dev as a cricketer? Not just as captain of the World Cup winning team, but you may have seen videos of him, or you may have read reports, or you may have heard from your father कि वो इस तरह से चौके और छक्के लगाते थे. Eddie Hemmings को 4 छक्का लगा दिया. So
I think Kapil sir's one thing which attracted me, that if at that time when crisis situation came, he did something which as an all-rounder inspires me, because I also believe in something that obviously you want to perform in all the games. But there are one of those games where all the chips are against you, your ball is against the ball, and you come out of that. So that has always inspired, and I have seen Kapil sir doing in both departments, not only batting, bowling, fielding, all three actually.
yeah. That's well said. Obviously, that was his greatest quality. But Kapil, what is it that you like most about Hardik's game? Apart from the fact that he loves to hit the ball in the air like you used to.
I said that I don't have to talk about his batting. Bowling, he have to work very hard. I think I enjoy his fielding. Being honest, I said if you have 11 fielder like that, you can't lose a match. He's such a good athlete. He goes for the catches, which is the best part. Today's cricketers sometimes they shy away. They said, "Oh, I should." Sometimes they don't go for the catches. But I haven't seen him or Jadeja. They always go for 100%. When you go, you become a brilliant. When you don't go, you become an ordinary, a safe cricketer. But I think I never seen Hardik and Jadeja also. They are one cricket. These are the cricketer who go and give more than 100% on the field, and that impression will stay in your mind.
So my last question to both of you. This is the Hindustan Times. It's the theme of this series is next, called Hindustan Times Next, which is leading the change. That's the motto, the theme. So I'll start with you, Kapil, and then I'll go to Hardik. What is it, what is the change you would like to see in Indian cricket going ahead? We've had the World Test Championship. We didn't do well there. We didn't win the championship, but we were in the final. We've been the number one ranked team in the last 4-5 years. Most of the time, sometimes the odd time we've not been there in Test cricket, but we've been the most consistent team across formats, being in T20 or ODIs or Test cricket. It's been India. What is the change you would like to see at this point in time in Indian cricket?
I think they just believe in performance, not action or not acting. So many cricketers, recent time we have seen there are a lot of show businesses happening. And as a cricketer, I can feel when you're out, put your head down, walk back. You don't have to hit the bat to the pad and try to give your gesture. Cricket is gentleman game. And second, we come from Indian come from a very different background. We shouldn't lose that. If Australian do, we don't have to do. People should follow us. We don't have to follow anybody else. That's the way I would like to see Indian cricketer is let the bat and ball should talk. There's no need to go under the skin of somebody. You go under the skin of somebody with a performance, not otherwise.
I just feel that with time, I think the game will move pretty more fast. I think if you see how England is playing, I think in coming years that might be the actual game how people will be playing the game, looking for, because how the ODI cricket is especially. Right. So I think that change will come. I think with us as well. I don't see a lot of change happening in a lot of things, but I wish that more all-rounders come. That change I would love, but what will happen will be the way that we will catch up with the game which is going on. I think England is leading the way how the game will go forward from here.
I think that's a very interesting response. So I'll just add a quick question as the last one to this, is that you anticipate this change coming. As players, personally, you and maybe people like your brother at home or other players in the Indian team or opposition, are people discussing this on the circuit that, the change is going to happen, and are we equipped to cope up with this change or lead this change? You may be the follower, you may be the leader. You talked about England. I mean, Ian Morgan has led the change for England in white ball cricket as a captain on the field. But it's come as a policy from the selectors, from the administration, whatever it might be, to go out and play total cricket. You see that being discussed more and more by players on the circuit?
No, I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, the change will come only on depending on the situation. Let's say अगर सामने वाली टीम में 200 नहीं मार पा रही तो हमको फिर जरूर नहीं पड़ेगा. So I think that change will there. It's just the people as an individuals, our mind has to be clear that someday we will have to bring the change in some game. I'm not saying all games will need it as well. But if most of the time, as you said, it has to come as a culture where everyone is bound to go in the same line. So I mean, we don't speak about it, but at the end of the day, you play the situations. If that situation will require it to play certain way, I think cricketers will understand and all the teams will be able to cope up.
Okay, I think that's thank you for this wonderful conversation and for giving us time. My best wishes to you, Hardik. Going ahead,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
big
Thank
season
you, Kapil
coming
sir.
up.
Thank you.
The remainder
All
of the
the best.
IPL
Good
and
luck.
then for the World T20. But Kapil, any parting words of advice for Hardik that you've got?
No, no, no. As somebody said to me when I was as young as Hardik, keep your eyes and ears open while sleeping also. The meaning is what's happening around you. It's very, very important. If you are player, think how your captain is doing. If you ever become a captain, what you have to do, what you don't have to do, you start learning today. These type of thing is very important for an all-rounder. Keep your mind open. Keep
Yes.
learning. Keep learning. Nobody is expert in anything. Experts are only people who talk. Like I asked, he's expert. We as a player, we as a player are not expert. We are the people who want to learn every day. And
Yes.
if you have a habit of learning, you will never go wrong in your life.
Thank you, sir. I'll keep in mind.
Guys, if you got 1 minute each, I just wanted to ask before I let go of you all, and I can't resist it. So Kapil Dev as an all-rounder, we all know that there was the golden phase of cricket when there were four great all-rounders playing across the world, from Imran Khan from Pakistan, Ian Botham from England, New Zealand say Hadley, India say Kapil Dev. Were you keeping tabs on what each one was doing, and was that a source of inspiration, aspiration, that I must get better, इसने ये कर दिया और मुझे ये करना चाहिए? Was that how you kept your competitive juices going?
I think if I picked up the newspaper during that period and England and Pakistan is playing, my first eyes will go for what is Imran Khan did, what is Botham did. Without any doubt, it's people say it or not, but yes, if what Richard Hadley have, how many wickets he taken, that's the first thought goes, and then goes for who won and who lost. I'm being very honest, and I don't shy away from these things, because if I don't do that, the media will not leave it. They will push it in that level where I'll start talking about that or thinking about that. So yes, I used to think that what my other competent people have done that.
And Hardik, what's the state of mind of players on the circuit now? You are among the leading all-rounders of the world, and also leading player, of course, and India is the leading team. So is that at the back of your mind कि यार ये ऐसा यहाँ वहाँ ये भी हो रहा है, player ये कर रहा है, मुझे भी कुछ करना चाहिए, I must set milestones. Do others set milestones for you?
To be honest, नहीं इतना नहीं हो पाता, क्योंकि I think as Kapil sir mentioned, for me what is the most important thing is learning, how I can learn in anything, छोटी से छोटी चीज. So मैंने इंग्लिश बोलना भी सीखना ऐसे ही चालू किया था, because I wanted to छोटी छोटी बातें आज आपसे कुछ सीख लिया या कल किसी से सीख लिया. So for me, I think learning is more important, and when some other all-rounder in the world does something, I genuinely like it, because I sometimes try to learn from them as well, that what they are doing something, what is the different thing that they are doing. And when we play together as well, Kapil sir said exactly, even I see what that guy has done, because in a way, I know exactly, how important that individual is, that if he does well, what it adds to the team, and when he does not do well. So my intention is always that as well, that how well is he done. But except that, I don't think it does not bother. At the end of the day, we have to become better. So, yeah.
Thanks a lot again, Kapil Dev and Hardik Pandya, for being on this session. Hindustan Times leading the change. The Hindustan Times Next is the mother theme, and leading the change is the theme for this year. And it was wonderful to hear from both of you as to how things are different from generation to generation. Somewhere there's the connectivity when you're the leading the change or being the change maker, and it's something that has come through, I thought, quite effectively.
You're talking to two people who are learning English.
That's also leading the change. That's also leading the change. Look at the level of confidence. It's not about learning, but it's the level of confidence which is important. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Hardik. Thank you, Kapil.
Thank you, Kapil sir.
Thank you.
Please take care. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
गाइस कल मेरी नई बाइक आ रही है.
Great. तब तो I will come with Rohan every day.
इंश्योरेंस है.
तुझे क्या लगता है इंश्योरेंस पीयूसी सब कुछ है?
I was talking about life insurance for Sia.
जोक्स अपार्ट गाइस, बट आज मजा कल सजा नहीं होनी चाहिए.
Seriously, life insurance तो जरूरी है.
LIC का न्यू जीवन आनंद देता है डबल फायदा. मैच्योरिटी पे मिले फुल पेमेंट और लाइफ कवर चले जिंदगी भर.
ए हेलो, इंश्योरेंस है क्या?
Next, we have Sunil Chhetri, the Indian football team captain, in conversation with Dhiman Sarkar.
So, hello and welcome to another session of Leading the Change at HT NxT, a thought leadership platform with today's newsmakers. The distinguished speaker for this session is a man who's the embodiment of the phrase, age is just a number. Even that doesn't quite cut it, because when you're talking of Sunil Chhetri, he's actually a person who's got better with age at what he does, which explains why, be it for club or country, he's the first name a coach puts on the team sheet. The first name after a goalkeeper, that is, because using his hands is something that Sunil is trained not to do in his day job. Sunil took to football because he thought it would be a way to a good college in Delhi. Getting a sports scholarship would help bypass the arduous admission process. But he was so good at it that by the time he was of college-going age, he had already landed his first professional contract. This was at Mohun Bagan, one of the oldest clubs in Asia and the oldest active club in Indian football's top tier. That was in 2002. 19 years and counting in a journey that is far from over. Sunil has been named the India captain. He's scored 74 international goals. Now, to understand exactly what that means, consider this. There are only three active players who've actually scored more than Sunil. In that journey that began in 2002, from then to now, Sunil has won the Arjuna Award. He's been given the Padma Shri. He has been named an Asian icon by the Asian Football Confederation. It is a journey that has needed sacrifice and discipline in spades. And in this session, Sunil will talk about learning the art of mastering the mind by drawing on his experiences. The ball, as they say, is with you, Sunil. Make what you will of it.
First of all, Devanda, thank you so much for the amazing detailed introduction. If I have to be honest, the only call that I got about today's rendezvous was you have to speak to Dimanda, and I did not know what I'm going to speak. So now when you say the ball is on your feet and you speak, I have actually no idea. Whenever I'm asked this, that how all this 19 years went, what did you learn, what is the synopsis, I'm always a little bit stuck because I actually do not know how, first of all, to start, what to say. The one thing that comes to mind first, Dimanda, is it's a continuous process. And the moment when you add continuous process, the second word that follows is monotonous. The third follows is boring. And then comes patience. And then comes relentless. So all these things in small packages every day, and then you end up with a little bit of luck also fortunate enough to play for 19 years. And I also like the fact that when you started talking about my achievement, the first thing that you said was wearing the armband for the country, which I think by far is one of the biggest privileges that I have in my life. To play for the country, 100 plus games is is amazing. To be captain of my country is outstanding. But the way I've probably reached there is by doing those small bits every day. Now, if I just cut one day of my life and tell you, Dimanda, that this is what I do on a particular day, almost everyone in the country would be able to do that, because it's not outstanding, it's not extraordinary, it's not magic, it's not something very strange that I do, but it only becomes a little bit different and a little bit strange and maybe produce magic in the long term is when I do it every day. And that is something that I understood very early, Dimanda, because I had a nag of trying to to search for answers on people. I was very fortunate to play with top class players very early in my life, and I was very to the point that I was very nagging. Bachunda ye kaise, Renida, then what? Roger Baramis Bereto, how? Basda ki koran apni. I was very nagging kid, because I always wanted to know how this, how that. How do you, with just being so short, how do you turn and put a long ball, Basuda? Or Bachinda, how when you are just 5'7", you're not scared about anyone when facing any defender? Or how is your left foot as good as your right foot, Renida? Types like that. I was a very nagging kid. And yeah, if you ask people who are close to me, they will say you're a nagging man also. Nothing has changed there. But then I had this deep uh, innate need to keep asking. And the more answers I got, the more I realized that it's about doing everything as good as possible every day. It's not that you turn up and you think, you know what, I'm Sunil Chhetri and things will happen. It does not. Even now, it does not. Even after scoring probably 370 plus goals in my life, I still go and miss the kind of goals that I missed against Vasundhara. I had 5 chances. I've already seen the video maybe 10 times. And the goals that I've missed, especially the header in the corner, it's like bread and butter for me. I've scored I don't know how many goals like that in training, but then you still go on and you miss them. And that's why I've always said that sports is one of the best levelers. You can feel like you are the best in the world, and the next week when the match happens, you think you have learned nothing. You are nowhere as good as what you think. And again, going back to the drawing board and again trying to make sure that you are a better player. So that has been my journey, Dimanda. I've been very fortunate in one department, which is I've kept myself away from major injuries, which is very important, paramount for a sports athlete to have a longer career. Second, I've been very fortunate to be coached by some amazing coaches. I've been really lucky to have the kind of teammates I had. And I must tell you this, Dimanda, and probably you will know this, when you are in a football setup, whether it's in the national team or the club, it is not very often that everyone in the team wants you to score all the time. And I know I might gather a little bit of controversy when I say this, but yes, it is true. When you're a striker, you don't have everyone in the team who always will want you to score, just because of the competitive nature of the sport. But I've been so fortunate all my life, whichever team I've played when I was younger, for the national team or the club, even now, probably everyone wants me to score. And that is a big advantage. That's where someone like me who does not believe too much in luck starts believing in luck, because that you need that energy. You need everyone in the team who want you to succeed. It is very important. A small slice of the whole package, but it's a very important slice. I've been fortunate there also. I've been also fortunate of changing my clubs every now and then. It sounds a little bit strange now, because I'm in a club for the last 9 years. But initially in my career, it really helped me to be a better player, one, and more importantly, to be I won't say better human being, but a more patient and a kinder human being, because I kept traveling. You see new people, you see new coaches, you see new culture. You want to learn, starting from the mannerism, starting from the language, starting from how to behave. It is very, very important. It is not for nothing that you hear legends like the more you travel, the more smarter you become. Your ignorance goes little by little, and then you start learning. I've always believed people who are as more ignorant you become, the less you learn, is what I feel. So once that starts diminishing, you start to learn more. And contrary to the belief that sports people are not smart, I think the more knowledge you grasp, the better it is for you. And again, when I go to a lot of schools and I talk to kids, when I tell them this, because there's a proper segregation of sports playing kids and the ones who are studious and are good in studies, I completely do not agree. If you are somebody who is good in, let's suppose, am I digressing from the topic, Dimanda? I hope you don't mind. But then you said the ball is on my feet, so I
Go
can
on,
support
go
what
on.
I want. Yeah.
It's yes, go on.
Yeah. So a lot of times when I go to schools, I find that there are kids who are good in studies. They just want to be good in studies. They have nothing to do with sports. And then there are sports kids who always blame that you will achieve nothing and you're just a sports person, which I hope is changing. I can see it little by little. But then from the sports point of view, the more you study and the more knowledge you have about different things, the more smarter you will become. Because as human beings, we have very less knowledge about how much our brains can grasp. It's a vast sea. And same for the ones who are studying only. You want to be a scientist, you want to be a mathematician, you want to be a CA, you want to be a doctor. If you are in sports, not only does it make you healthy physically, you have no idea how big a change, a positive change it brings to your mind. You have no idea. And that's why I always encourage, no matter who you want to be in life, play sports. No matter what you want to do in life, play sports. Playing sports every day should be as, if not equal, important as eating. And I might be a little bit harsh and I might be a little bit biased because I'm a sports person, but it has tremendous amount of benefits. Dimanda, I've always heard that you say that you like me, but if you met me when I was in school, you probably wouldn't have liked me. I was that bad. I was a very mischievous, almost borderline. What's the right word? Borderline. Okay, let me use a nice word. Not so good kid. I was going in the wrong direction. Sports really saved me. The one thing which was always there was, if you give me a call, that time there was no phone calls. If you told me that there is a badminton tournament happening at 2 a.m., I will be there. If you told me there was a gulli danda competition somewhere, I'll be there. If you told me that there is a volleyball match, I'll be there. So I think sports was something which really saved me. And via sports, I've learned it does not matter how you feel that day. Just go there and give your best. Some days are not going to be as good as the others. Some days, because you are a highly emotional being, we human beings, we're very complicated. We have so many things in our head. Somebody else's thought, to the extent that somebody else's thought kind of troubles us, which is crazy. You think about all of the animals, their lives are so simpler. But the one thing that you got to do is go out there and give your best. And probably to sustain 19 years in football in India, this probably is my mantra, that I go out there and I give my best. I get some days talked about in a very nice way. I get a lot of adulation, a lot of encouragement. Some days I'm thrashed. Most of the times I deserve it because of the way I've played. But keeping all this aside, you go out there and you give your best. Because as time goes by, I know the number of days I'm going to train is limited. The number of days I'm going to wear the jersey for BFC and the national teams are limited. I do not want to leave any stone unturned when it comes to going there and giving my best. Because I know one day, probably with a drink that you enjoy, you and me are going to sit and talk about all the times that I had on the pitch. So till then, I just go out there and I do whatever I can do to my best of capability. And the last bit, it is easier to do that on the pitch. The more difficult part is to sleep. The more difficult part is to eat right. And the more difficult part after 19 years is to say, what, get up, let's go out there, let's do it again.
Right. Thank you, Sunil. Very, very enlightening as always. But I just wanted to find out. You said it's not easy. You've been doing this for 19 years. You've been playing professionally for 19 years, but you've been doing this for even longer. How do you tell yourself on that day when you don't want to wake up, when you want to lie down longer in bed, but training's there at a particular point in time? How do you tell yourself that this is not a sweet that I'll not have, a samosa that I'll not have because there's a game tomorrow, there's a session, we are in season? I mean, how does that become a way of life for a sports person? Because it's pretty much what you've been doing for all your life now. How do you do that?
There are few tips that I use. Number one, I've got a lovely team around me, right? Starting from my wife to the ones that I hang in my team, both for the club and the country. My parents, all of them know it, and we have an atmosphere in and around my house that this is not right. You cannot do it. Wait for some more years. It is very regimental in a very nice way, but they all know there isn't any food item in my house, for example, which I shouldn't eat. The cheat meals are planned way before, so we know exactly what's going to come and what we're going to eat. If you come to my house, some days there is no artificial sugar, and me and my wife have a big fight. I'm just giving you a small anecdote. We have a huge fight. What if people come and they want sugar in the tea? And I always tell her, when we know it's not good, why should we give them sugar? So small things like that really helps. Sometimes the fact that I'm so grateful for what I've achieved pushes me, because I know where I am. I'm hugely privileged. There are so many people who want to be me, so many kids, but there's only one, that's me. So I know how grateful and how privileged I am. That pushes me. Sometimes the last loss pushes me. For example, right now sitting on the bench against Mazia because I was rested is pushing me, because I hate that. So you got to find few stuff that is going to push you on bad days. You got to make sure that you surround yourself with people who have the same mentality about what you want to achieve, which is very, very, very important. A lot of sports people have lost their way because they did not have that kind of support system. So each and every one in my house and my surrounding probably dreams the same thing about Sunil Chhetri that I dream. So we are in sync, so it becomes easier.
Yeah, wow. So, the other thing that you also mentioned was a curious mind, which is pretty much what I gathered. And you do have a curious mind even now. Did that help you sort of make the adjustment? You're traveling around the country. Here is this 18-year-old boy from Delhi who comes to Kolkata, deals with the enormous amount of pressure that comes with playing for a top club in Kolkata. He doesn't speak the language. He speaks Hindi, all right. But how does he adjust? In those days, I'm not even sure whether you had a mobile phone. How did you miss your parents? Did you miss your folks? How did you adjust to being a player for a club like Mohun Bagan, which is one of India's oldest, which is one of Asia's oldest clubs, and you are only 18? And this is 2002. World has changed a lot now. I mean, an 18-year-old now would possibly have it easier. So how did that happen? Was that curious mind also helping you to absorb new experiences and then adjust?
Well, it almost always helps me. But to come back to the topic, yes, it was difficult, Dimanda. There was no phones. And that was probably the most difficult and interesting and most honored start that I had, because everyone dreamt of playing for Mohun Bagan. Then I'm pretty sure a lot of people do now also. Mm-hmm. But it was so difficult. I think just the third game, we were playing at home, and in front of me was Ramirez Barreto. We drew the game, and Dimanda, at our own tent in Mohun Bagan, you cannot draw a game. And there were people who were spitting on us. We had to stay inside the tent because there were stones being thrown. And I was just 17 and a half, and I was thinking, where have I come? What is this? This is not normal. This is not normal life. We went back to, I was living in Iliad Road. There was a Mohun Bagan, a mess there. I don't know if it's still there.
Yeah.
And 2 days we couldn't go out. It was so difficult. It was so difficult. And probably these are the learning experiences that I had very early that really shaped me to become the person I've become. Because it is beyond football. When you talk about pressure, it's just not about on the pitch, but it continues. And fortunately or unfortunately, I landed up at a club where this litmus test was at its best. It was crazy. But yes, because I was curious and I always wanted to know, I kept my mind busy. Even now, I make sure I take out some time to read a little, to make sure I watch, because I'm an addict of YouTube. I watch a lot of videos, to watch few videos, to just learn. I mean, the other day I was just going through revising about Pythagoras theorem. I mean, small things that
Wow.
yeah, and it's interesting because one thing, I think the one bone that I have to pick with my school was the teaching almost all the time was very, very boring. Because now when I watch YouTube and I start talking about a little bit of trigonometry here and there, my favorite topic about universe, stuff like that, it is so interesting, and learning has become so it's easy. So I make sure that I spend those 1.5 hours, whatever I get every day, on learning something new. Also, because you're always excited, because if you just get up, eat those boring oatmeals and the boiled broccoli, gym in the mornings, have a nap, evening training, go to sleep, then it's boring. But if you learn something new and if you see something new, and it doesn't have to be educational all the time, some funny videos here and there, some weird stuff, it just keeps you interested, and it's nice. Otherwise, life can be boring sometimes.
Yeah, Sunil, you often mention reading. I mean, not many sports persons that we know have this habit. And for someone who's not had much of a formal education because he decided to dedicate his life to sport, how did reading and this habit help you as a sports person?
Oh, it's amazing, Dimanda. It's amazing. So, because my father is a very learned guy, he always told me the benefits of reading, but I was away from him a long time. He was in army, and then I went to Mohun Bagan. So, you hear, you try, and you don't carry on. But I think it's last 5-6 years now, because reading is so important. You learn this statement everywhere. Reading will change your life. You see this thing everywhere, because it's like evolution. So many people have done well. They will pass this knowledge to you, and this is something that has worked. And now I make sure that I continue it, because it's amazing. It's outstanding. Just the time for me. One of the benefits, and probably you will laugh, is it takes me to sleep. So it's my late night routine where and everything, the social media, the phone, the TVs are off. You go, you spend time with your wife, and then before you sleep, you have about 20 minutes. I try to keep it at 15 pages. Sometimes I do 20, 15 minimum, and you read, and you automatically are in the zone, and you sleep. You get up in the morning and you read a little bit more. And now I've forced / encourage players in my team also to read. It does not matter what you read, because everyone has different interests. Do not go and just copy somebody's genre or somebody's books. You see what interests you. There are vast number of topics and vast number of books on those topics, and you just read. It is an amazing habit. One, I also encourage, Dimanda, is because we are so addicted to our screens now, and for sports people, it affects your sleep at night. So that's the reason why I try and I encourage a lot of young boys in my team to make sure that they read at night. You can do your Instagrams and whatever you want to do in the morning and the afternoons, but at night try to read something. There are millions of benefit to it, but the one is you're keeping your eyes away from all the light, and you will have a better sleep.
So what is Sunil Chhetri? What time of the day does Sunil Chhetri go off screens? Does he do it consciously on a daily basis?
Yes, Dimanda. Generally, I sleep at 10:30. So 1 hour before minimum. So 9:30 is the last time I'll check my phone. It's easy for me because I'm an old horse. The younger ones, they are all in social media, so I understand the whole euphoria, and I don't judge them. Thankfully, all these things came when I was already old, so the bug hasn't bitten me that bad. But me and when I'm home, me and my wife do love catching up on telly. We have dinner at 7, and the next 1.5 2 hours is whatever ma'am wants to watch, and that's the time we bond, we talk, we share stuff, and 9 o'clock we're in the bedroom and done. The phones are off. Sometimes my wife, you probably wouldn't like me saying this, but she will wait for me to sleep, and then she'll go on social media. But when I'm there, I don't allow that.
But so dinner, 7 o'clock is when you finish dinner. And when is it that you
Yes.
have breakfast?
I get up. It depends. If morning we have training. If the training is 8:30, then I'll have breakfast at 7:15, 7:30 max.
Okay.
But if there is no morning training, if there's only gym and then at 9 o'clock, then I'll go fasting a little bit more, 1 hour more, and I'll start at 8. Now this is not something that I'm recommending any and everyone. This
No,
works
what
for
works
me.
for you? Yeah,
Yeah,
fine.
it works for me, and so I'll have breakfast at 8. That gives almost 13 hours of me eating nothing and giving my body enough time to do whatever the body wants to do. And
This is not how it started, did it? I mean, when you started out, you didn't know much about these
no,
things.
no,
This
no,
is
no,
not how it
no,
started.
no.
So around when did you sort of make these changes, and how have these changes helped you prolong your career?
It's continuous process, Dimanda. The first thing I left was all the soft drinks. Like any other 90s kid, I was hooked to these things. So I think long back, right from when I came back from Kansas, I left soft drinks. Then slowly I started leaving sugar. Then slowly I tried to cut off the fried food. Then slowly I started altering my diet with the time span. Then slowly I started eating dinners early. So I think it keeps changing, Dimanda.
So Sunil, if there's one thing that you need, that you, from your career as a football player, that you sort of think has made the most impact on you, or is there's one learning experience? There have been many, I know, but which one would you choose?
Oh, Dimanda, just one.
Yes. Okay, I'll give you 3.
Okay, let's bargain well. I'll do 2. That'll be great. I think the first one would be, once you have given your best, make peace with the result. Tomorrow is a new day. No matter how bad or how great you're feeling today, this will pass. So if the first thing you have done well, which is worked really, really hard, gave your best, now relax, calm down. Some people take more time, someone takes less, but relax. Tomorrow is a new day. That's the first one that I've learned. And the second one would be, if you want to be an elite sports personality, eat well, sleep well. No matter how skillful you are, no matter how gifted you are, no matter how good a coach you have got, no matter what infrastructure you have got, if you want to be an elite sports personality, if you really want to compete with the best, eat well and sleep a lot.
Now, again, that's not easy. Yeah, I mean, when you start out, it's the enthusiasm of playing. Obviously, you're doing something that you love, but then to be able to do this over a period of time, to be able to do this for close to 2 decades, so this discipline. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of discipline involved here. How do you tell yourself that I need to sleep now? My friends are going to a party. I need to sleep now. How do you do it?
Demand that comes, it's all a package. So see, first of all, you always encourage to have big dreams.
Okay.
So let's suppose you make a dream. Okay, now just dreaming will not elevate you there. Then you start working hard. The lovely part of working hard is, the more hard work you put in, the more you know about the dream, the more you know how far or near you are. It's such an amazing thing. You can say whatever, I want to be the best journalist of the country, and just dream, nothing will happen. Then you start working hard. When you start working hard, you realize, oh my God, there's this guy who is good, there's this guy who is good, he does this, he does that. And then you think, you know what, I need more, I'm not there. So then these two things are going on in your life. Then you find out innovative ways to make yourself better, because you're working hard, because you want to grasp every inch. If you're putting those 2 hours, you want to eat well. If you're eating well, you want to sleep well. Then the whole package starts surrounding itself.
It's all interconnected.
Yes. And then you're like, you know what, I'm still not there. But because I've given so much, I can't give up. I'm already there. I've done so many sacrifices, small bit every day. Let's add one more. And then the dream, you see, you know what, it's a little bit clearer. It's there. You can reach it. And then again, you make sure that you are tight-knit. You do all the right things. And then finally you reach there. But the worst thing is, once you reach there, then you realize, it was so easy to reach here. Because now when you look down, there are so many who want to climb and reach where you are. So now you have to hold this. Now you have to be there. You can't go down. You can't not be how good you are. Every day you have to be that good, because when you were down, you could have a bad day because nobody was looking at you. You were there. You were trying to climb the ladder and nobody was interested. Now you have climbed it. Now you are there. Now you got to hold it. You better make sure you do all things that made you reach here and more. Because there are so many down there who are looking at you and who want your place. Because sports is not a very hunky-dory, nice kind of a genre or a career or a discipline. It is a cutthroat one. Everyone wants you down. Simple. So if you enjoy being where you are, if you enjoy doing what you do on the pitch, you make sure you give every day everything that you've got and keep innovating yourself and keep pushing the barriers, because everyone wants your place. That's how it works. So if you want to sustain, because sports doesn't know that you're 37. Sports doesn't know that you're doing for 19 years. It doesn't even care. Football doesn't care whether I'm doing for 19 years or some days I'm not motivated or my knees hurt or whatever. It doesn't care. It is so result oriented that you got to make sure that you put your best foot forward, or you hang your boots and you relax. So till that time, I want to give everything that I've got. Because in 2, 3, 4 years, whenever we talked as a ex-player, I want to tell you, Dimanda, you know what? No matter what you think or what you say, I gave my best. That's all I had in my tank. Till then,
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to also understand how do you deal with failure? I mean, you said that you have to make peace. You've given your best. A specific example, if I may. I mean, in the 2019 Asian Cup, India were seconds from getting out of the group. You take in a penalty, India lose, India are out. I mean, getting out of the group in the Asian Cup would have been a big deal, because we don't play at that level very regularly. You guys started off with a bang, scoring 4 goals against Thailand, and then this happens. So how do you deal with that and then kit up again the next day or 2 days later for training, pushing all that away? How do you do that?
That was difficult, Dimanda, man. You probably picked one of the worst cherries, man. That was difficult because, unlike for others, I did not know whether I'm going to make the next Asia Cup. So it was a double blow for me. Also, the whole high of the first game, and I think the best game we played was against UAE, because we were outstanding in that game. And then not qualifying was, man, when I was looking at the boys, it was killing me, man. When I was looking at all the young ones, all the young faces, it was brutal. It was brutal because the next day we all had to fly back to our own destinations, which, you know what was good, Dimanda, because I didn't want to see those faces. I did not want to see those faces because they were so down and demoralized. I mean, you're already fighting your own demons, but then because you're the most experienced one there, you got to make sure that everyone tries to keep their head high. But I know, because even now we talk, that day was one of the worst. But then we again want to be in the Asia Cup. As a country, we again want to play that tournament. So that's how you shrug it off for the player and for the team as a whole. But for me, now every game might be the last game I play for my country. I never know. Every game that I play now, or I'm choosing to play now, might be the last game that I play for my country. So for me, there's no need for extra motivation. Now probably I'm in the last stretch. I mean, there is only one guy who has played more than 100 games for the country. That's Baichungda. There's no one else in the entire history of our nation. So I'm already there now. The few matches that are left for my country, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, I don't know. I don't even know. I just want to give whatever I've got. I want to go with a positive mind. I anyways enter the pitch, any match thinking that I'm going to score. In my dream, I'm always the hero. In my picture, I'm always scoring. So when I go, I just want to put my best foot forward.
Does Sunil look at a target of, let's say, the 2023 Asian Cup as another target, now that we're talking of almost at the end of 2021, and this tournament happens in the first part of 2023? So is that a target that you set yourself? Does that also act as a motivation?
And probably any other press person asked me this, I would say no. But because you're asking, I'll be honest. It is there. somewhere down the line it's there. I don't keep long-term targets, and this is a very, very long one, but it's there. It will be very, very fruitful and satisfying if I can be a part of the tournament. But again, before that, there are many hurdles. First of all, we have to qualify. First of all, I have to be there with the team for next another 2 years, which is not easy. So yes, one thing at a time. Let's qualify for this tournament, and then if the coach wants, number one, if the team needs me, and if I'm still fit, I would love to be a part of 2023.
Super. Sunil, you said, sport doesn't know you're 37. Football doesn't know that you've been doing it for 19 years. Football also doesn't know that you're 5'7". How does Sunil Chhetri meet all those aerial balls? What is it that he does to work for something like that? Because this is not usual. We've seen a number of players do this, but let's hear it from someone who's been doing it for so long. The central defenders are usually 6 inches taller than you, but when a ball comes, you are usually 2 inches above that person. How does that happen? How do you train for that? How do you prepare for that?
It's a good topic that you picked up because Suresh Dimanda,
yes.
Our Suresh Wangjam. So
yes.
The other day he asked me that Chhetri bhai, you're not so tall, but how do you take headers? Because sadly, heading is not one of the forte that he is gifted with. So he trains with me a lot. He's like he's somebody who is always behind me and always, So when we were in the gym, I saw his jump. And Dimanda, you will be amazed to see the kids jump. He's a machine. So I was so shocked. I think I said, you know what? Your jump is so good. Why don't you head the ball? And he said, no, because, timing, or I'm scared and this and that. And then I told him one thing, that to be a good header, the first thing you need is you have to want to jump and head the ball. If you don't want it bad, you will never head it. Because it comes with so much of risk, especially when you're short. You think you're going to get a nice elbow on your face, and which happens. You think somebody's going to, a guy like a John Johnson or Murtada Fall will come and bamboozle you, which will happen. But if you don't want to head the ball, you will never head the ball. All the other attributes are later. You have to want to head the ball. All the good headers, even if they're short, they want to head the ball, they want to score, or they want to defend. Now, no matter how good a jump you have, if you don't want to hit the ball, you will never hit the ball. So I think right from early age, I really wanted to hit the ball. And then automatically you work on your strength, which is a jump, which is very, very important. You cannot be scared of getting hit. Sometimes I jokingly tell Suresh, I hope you get a nice stitch on your head, 4 year, because then it'll go. Most of the young kids right now don't head because they're scared. And being scared is a legitimate issue because, it happens. But because I've been broken all over multiple times, I don't feel scared anymore. So yes, the first thing, Dimanda, the first and very, very important thing is you want to head the ball. You want to score a goal with your header. You want to defend with your head. Otherwise, it's like, if you don't want it, your body will not respond. No matter how much jumping exercise you do, no matter how much weight you pick, no matter how much squat you do, it will not respond. But if you want to head, everything will align. So I think the first and foremost thing is you want to hit the ball. It doesn't matter what your height is. Sometimes it'll be difficult. I'm 5'7". It almost always is difficult to head against Murtada Fall or a Tiri or a Jono or a Sandesh. But it's okay. Some days they will head over me. Sometimes I'm going to get them. And it's also adding another attribute in your game. You just don't want to be a one-trick pony. Especially now in modern football. Everyone is working hard to defend against you. If you're only fast, they will catch you someday. If you're only good on your right foot, they will get you someday. If you want to be a striker and if you want to score goals, add as many feathers you can so that you can be a better player.
Is there anyone you saw in your career that made you learn these things, or this is also self-taught? These ideas about adding feathers, it's very easy to settle into a comfort zone. And you have actually gotten out of your comfort zone, gone abroad. So is it because you've seen these people, or is it something you told yourself that, this is what I need to do to improve?
I think it's a combination of both, Dimanda. Also, I'm just greedy to learn from different people. You talked about heading, you will know it, but I don't know if many people know about someone called Asim Biswas. He was probably half an inch shorter than me, but
yes,
extraordinary header. I mean, in training, we used to watch him in awe as to what are you doing, my friend. I still remember he was in Mohun Bagan, he scored a goal against East Bengal. There was Mahesh Gowli marking him. He did not touch Mahesh Da, rose up and headed the ball in the net. And we were in disbelief. I always used to watch him and I always used to want to head like him. He had very, very strong legs. He had a spring. It is such a bad luck of my nation that we couldn't maximize what
Injuries, yes.
us could
Oh,
offer
yes,
us.
yes.
But
Absolutely.
I used to watch him in training and I again used to bug him. We used to train together for headers and he was an extraordinary header and he was half an inch. He is half an inch shorter than me. Then you look at Baichung Bai, who was a different header. He probably wasn't as or like Asimda, but he was so brave. Baichung Da can put his head no matter where. He was so brave, and that's what you learn. Because here is the captain, here is the biggest icon in Indian football. He comes up from Bury, and in training, he's going for slide heading in a Kadamat. You know what I mean? So all these things you grasp and you try to learn. Not everything you will learn, not everything will be there in your locker, but at least you see them and you learn. And that's where we talk about curious minds, Dimanda. If you're not
Right.
curious, you will not venture out, and then you will not have the opportunity of learning.
True, true. Sunil, as we wrap this up, one of the things that a sports person has to deal with on a pretty regular basis is injuries. You mentioned early on in our conversation that you've been fortunate. While I think, yes, fortune does play a part, it's also how you keep yourself fit. That also kind of plays another part. But then, how does a player deal with injury? Because it could be his or her final game. I mean, it could be the end of the road. It's a high risk profession that you guys do out of love, I know. But how do you deal with that? Tomorrow's game could be the last time I'm playing football. It's something that could be how do you deal with that? Or do you just not think about it at all?
I have no idea how to deal with it, Dimanda. I'm the worst when I get injured. Whenever I've got injured with my ankle earlier, the worst ones, I do not know how to deal with it. I'm the worst. There is no blueprint I have. All the answers that I think I have, this is the one that I have no answers to. The only thing that I do is I try to keep myself as fit as possible, work on the areas that I think are weak, small stuff because of science in football now, the glutes, this muscle, that muscle, foam rolling, physios, doctors, they all help. But if the day comes and there is a huge collision and something has to go wrong, it goes wrong. How to deal with injuries, I have no idea, Dimanda. Different players do it differently. It depends on what injury, depends on what stage of your career you are in. But I wish, and I'm somebody who doesn't believe in all these things too much, but I really wish no one ever gets injured, man. That's the only thing that I feel is the worst wheel of sports, especially physical sports like ours. I hope you win, you lose, you get abused, you get hero status. Everything is good in sports. No one should get injured because that's the worst. Because I don't know you can get any player to tell you exactly how you can deal with injury. No one has a blueprint. We all suffer in this way or that way. We all become negative and bad. So I wish injuries to no one, man. No one. I hope no one gets injured ever.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Sunil, you mentioned very early again the thing about Mohun Bagan, playing it for Mohun Bagan. Third game results don't go your way, and it's a difficult situation for a 17-and-a-half-year-old. That 17-and-a-half-year-old gets older and then goes to the Salt Lake Stadium, which on at one point in time had 131,000 people. Half of them would abuse this player, and the other half would sing praises. Now, how does a player? There are there are players who are very good, but who cannot deal with that situation. How did Sunil Chhetri deal with it? I mean, I remember Baichung once telling me that he would be buzzing for a situation like that. Is it the same with you?
Yes, I do. I'm buzzing. I mean, also the fact that me and Baichung Bhai have got abused so much that we get used to it and we are thick skin. No, it really has Dimanda. If you put a young kid, when Baichung Bhai was 17, he must be terrorized. So was I. But then again next week. So you get that hero status and get abused so much that too early. Then you know what? I rather enjoy this, and then you start enjoying it. You rather have a hostile. Even now, when I go to play against Mohun Bagan and East Bengal, both of the fans loved me once. I think both of them love me when I play for my country. But when I go from BFC, I'm the one who is abused the most. But internally, I'm enjoying it. they are showing all the love they can in whichever way to their club, which is great for Indian football. I'm just here to prove my point with my club. It is great for sports. It's amazing when you see 50,000 people, they want and they're abusing you, and the whole, this is nice. You want to play, and you want to play this kind of games. So I think it comes with habit and doing it time and again. The first time it happens, it is crazy. You won't get a single player who will say, you know what, I was 17, I went away to in Maracana or against a Boca Juniors or Mohun Bagan, and I was enjoying it. No one enjoys it. It is terrifying. But then once you get the hang of it, you start enjoying it.
Has Sunil Chhetri thought of life outside football, beyond football? Given the kind of person that you are, I kind of think that you have. Have you? Someday you'll not play.
Not specifically, Dimanda, but probably the biggest agenda is to travel and to see more. All the streets, all the places, all the events that I read about, I want to go and visit those places. I want to see new places. I want to meet new people. Whenever the day comes when it's going to be the last day on earth for me, I want to be as knowledgeable as possible, know as much as I can. I think after football, that probably would be my biggest mission, to see and know more, because that's all there is to. I whatever I've traveled, I've been very fortunate. But whenever I've traveled, the whole package was all about football, resting, eating right, sleeping, playing a match. Now, when I'm done, I want to travel, and thankfully, I've got a partner who also has or share the same dream. We just want to travel and make sure we see more places, see more culture, learn more, and yeah, that gives me and my wife both a lot of happiness. And once I'm done, I want to do that. Unfortunately, because of playing for so many years, I have the means to do it, which I know a lot of people don't have. So I'll put it to better use and see as many places as possible. That's that's the holistic plan. There's nothing specific, but that's what I probably want to do.
Super. I mean, it's something that you're looking forward to beyond football, because what happens for a lot of sports persons is that once that ends, he or she has been doing pretty much all this and only this all his or her life. And when that ends, there's usually a vacuum. So it's good to hear that you already have a plan of wanting to do something, which could just be traveling, which is great. And, more power to you, Sunil, more power to you and Sonam for this. But before you start those traveling things, we would like you to continue playing for India as long as you can, as long as you enjoy doing it. And because you give us a lot of enjoyment in the process. And so thank you for your time, and here's to a good season again.
Thank you so much, Dimanda. It's always amazing talking to you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
गाइस कल मेरी नई बाइक आ रही है.
Great. तब तो I will come with Rohan every day.
इंश्योरेंस है.
तुझे क्या लगता है? इंश्योरेंस, पीयूसी सब कुछ है.
I was talking about life insurance for Sia.
Jokes apart, guys, but आज मजा कल सजा नहीं होनी चाहिए.
Yeah.
Seriously, life insurance तो जरूरी है.
LIC का न्यू जीवन आनंद देता है डबल फायदा. मैच्योरिटी पे मिले फुल पेमेंट और लाइफ कवर चले जिंदगी भर.
ए हेलो, इंश्योरेंस है क्या?
And for the last session, we have Olympians Abhinav Bindra and Vijender Singh in conversation with Sharda Ugra.
I am absolutely delighted to have with me company for two athletes I consider sort of my Beijing team, the team that was with me in Beijing, the Olympic contingent that was with me in Beijing in 2008. They are medalists. I'll go by alphabetical order. Abhinav Bindra, gold medalist. Vijender Singh, boxing bronze medalist, the first gold medalist and the first medalist, Olympic medalist in boxing. welcome to the to our little chat here at HT NxT Summits. How difficult then, Abhinav, are the Olympics? Because we've seen our athletes here who have performed exceptionally internationally at all events. They've come to the Olympics, particularly let's bring on shooting, which had one finalist out of 15 shooters. And they haven't performed the way that they had performed in all these world championships and world cups and all these other events. What can you just tell people that are watching and all the young men and women that are taking an interest, that what is it about the Olympics that is so very different to a normal sort of a competition? And Vijender, I'll come to you with the same question from your sport as well.
Well, I think the thing is nothing can compare, no other championship can compare to the Olympics. The Olympics is the grandest stage of all. The whole world's eyes are on you. There's a tremendous hype around the Olympic Games. It is the epitome of sporting success, and everybody wants to be at their best. And the difficulty of the Olympic Games also is that it comes so infrequently. It comes once in 4 years. Whereas, at a World Cup or a World Championships in my sports, you have 4 World Cups in a year, you have a World Championship once in a couple of years. So there is a chance to redeem yourself quite quickly. But with the Olympics, it's one opportunity which you get once in 4 years, and you have to be on top of your game. We often talk about pressure and, the Olympic pressure, and it is absolutely real. I mean, there is no question about it. I mean, when you are competing at the Olympic Games, you will be under pressure. And I think perhaps sometimes athletes make the mistake of trying to run away from this pressure or try and create a make-believe world that there will be no pressure at the Olympic Games and treat it as just another competition. And that's where the mistake comes. And I think it is just about learning to endure this pressure, suffering through this pressure, stomaching this pressure through competition. Having a plan B as well is critically important in an Olympic Games, because you have a plan A, and for sure during some part of your competition you will have a crisis, and you need to have the ability to quickly adapt and have a plan B, have a strategy in place. You have to be perfect on the imperfect day, and the Olympics is all about that adaptability. It is all about things somehow going wrong, and you have to get your skill together and get everything right on that particular day and on that particular moment, which is incredibly tough. I mean, you have 11,000 athletes competing in Tokyo. Only 300 odd athletes go home with gold medals. So just imagine how difficult it is to win a medal at the Olympic Games. And that makes the whole event so very unique.
Vijender, tell us about your experience as a boxer. When you went into the games, India had not won a boxing medal. Wrestling had a medal. Wrestling had a medal from the 1950s, but boxing had nothing. And then there were all of you. There's one big generation that came through. There was great pressure on it. You had been to Athens. Did it feel different then when you went to Beijing? What was the difference between the Vijender of Athens, the Vijender of Beijing? How did you cope with the pressure that there was, particularly in that bout where you are waiting between you and a medal, basically?
In 2004, that was my first Olympic, and it's a big deal for me to go there. It's like gaon ka, like I'm the only one boy who represent Olympic. So everybody say Vijender Singh Olympian. So it's like a big deal for me to go there. But then I realized, because that time Mr. Rajyavardhan Rathod got the silver medal there, So he got that flower kai ko mila tha usko, that crown, that kind of thing. So I met him and I said, "Bahut badai ho." I met Abhinav also when he came with a gold medal. I said, "Bahut badai." It's like proud moment when we meet, Olympic gold or Olympic silver. So that time I realized कि यार मुझे यहाँ पहुँचना it's बड़ा आसान है. You are here now. What next? So, but the podium, I think that was the real place to be there. That's the thing. So that time I realized, because I was too young that time. But then maturity will come. Then I represent Asian Games, I got a silver, I got a bronze in that Asian Games. Then I say, then my dream is start dreaming like, yes, now this is the time, bro. Just do it now this time. Then I going for qualify, first qualify that was in US 2007. In the first round, I was out, no qualify. Then again, I going for that Olympic qualify in Thailand. First round out. I got the last chance in that Kazakhstan. There I get a gold medal. Now after that, I didn't look back. Then we went Germany. Then I win that international tournament. I get a gold there. Then my body was in the form, and I go there. Then I like, yes, I can do that. Then I still remember one of guy from that I think from Iraq or Iran. He came to me. Then he said like इधर अल्लाह लेके जो अपनी भाषा में लैंग्वेज थी उनकी. Then he said come here, you going to get medal. मैं कहा अच्छा मतलब ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है यार. तो he said मैं क्या बुड्ढा में पागल हो रखा है, that's my feeling like it's all right, But then he told me like then I start, then Akhil Kumar is everywhere. But finally, मैं नीचे से निकल गया, I achieve it. That's kind of thing. There's no feeling, but I think it's maturity that will come, and you are like more responsible. I think that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the difference in 2004 and 2008.
What about the pressure that they were? So you went in with experience into Beijing. You had a sort of backdrop. What about the pressure around you as to, because there was so much talk about all of you, at that time,
No.
particularly boxers, and there was no hockey.
For me, there's no pressure, because I have like secure job. I was in senior TT in that railway, so I don't have any pressure or anything. Then I become inspector in that Haryana police. So I went there totally free mind, and because I achieved that Commonwealth Games and that Asian Games, so I thought like I will do it, I will do it, because you can. They just say like think positive. So I didn't get any negative thoughts when I reached there. But of course there is a pressure because it's biggest tournament in the whole world, and all the athletes wants to be win. And the media and the family pressure. There's a lot of pressure, but I don't care. मैं phone नहीं उठाता था उनके लिए, just go away. So there is a pressure. I can say that, yes, no doubt.
So just tell us about the Iranian again, who said you'll win the medal. Was he part of the Iranian contingent? This is a story I must.
He's a boxing coach. He's a boxing coach. Iraq or Iran. I don't remember that. Still that that little bit memory. Then he came to me. Then I came from that dining area in that morning breakfast we having after that weighing thing. And then he came to me when we going out. So that time he met me there and saying, "You're going to get a good medal." Like, okay, that's it. So it's kind of you getting signs, when you are going to do that. I hope कि like Abhinav के साथ भी कुछ ऐसा like होती surprise things. I believe in magic. So that kind of thing happen when you do that kind of thing. Like when you getting positive sign कि like this is my day. I can do it. Yeah.
Abhinav, tell us.
Yeah, for me, there were a couple of things. I think the Athens Olympics for me was the breakthrough moment there. I think it was my career's biggest failure when, I had broken an Olympic record and then came tumbling down to 7th position in that Olympic final. And I met my mother 5 minutes after that Olympic final, and she told me, the maximum that you could do today is win bronze or silver, but you know what, you're going to win a gold medal, and you're going to win a gold medal in 4 years' time. So who argue with a mother's instinct? I had no chance but to believe that. And of course, you, Sharda, were very much there that day in Athens, and you were around that time, and you too joined in this call with my mother, and you said that, it's 4 years just away, and now it's the progression is going to be the gold medal. So, when I was at my lowest ebb, I still had believers, and that time it made such a huge difference. It had such a deep impact somewhere, perhaps, that I continue to work hard and continue to believe. People around me continue to believe in me, even though there were moments when I felt hopeless. They continue to see hope in me, and that's what carried me through. I even remember receiving a letter from one of my coaches after Athens. This was from my coach Uwe, who I had a very difficult relationship with. Perhaps the only person in the whole world I hated and continue to hate. But he wrote me a letter after Athens, and one of the points in that letter was that you're next in line, that you're going to win the World Championships in 2006. And win the Olympic Games in 2008. I don't know how good of a coach he was, but he certainly was a good fortune teller.
For those who don't know, Abhinav won his World Championship gold medal in 2006, which is why all of us said, yeah, of course we knew he was going to do this. Of course, it was we were just like reaching out and saying, no, don't quit. Vijender, you made a very, very unusual decision after your sort of amateur career. You went pro. That's a very big move to make. It's a complete jump from what your whole life had been with reference to sport. Like you said, sport had given you a job, it had given you security, fame, and the pro world is completely different. What caused you to take that step, to make that change, to switch and say, okay, this is what I'm going to now try? You could have spent your whole life being an Olympic medalist.
No, but what's the harm in that? Because there's a fight between that Floyd and that Manny Pacquiao. That fight, and after that fight, that some promoter from UK, I think Frank Warren, he approached me. I am doing that police training in that Madhuban, and he approached me somehow through that my Indian promoter Nirav Taumar. And he said, okay, you want to do professional boxing? That's new for me. I don't know about. I know about Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Mega Yar. What will we do? We want to try. Like, I want to see there. So, me or Nirav, then we went UK. We spent almost 15-20 days there. I tried their boxing thing, everything we tried. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, why not? Because, I'm doing their police training, and it's been like my... it's new for me, and I want to do some different. मैं बोर हो जाता हूँ बहुत एक ही चीज करते बहुत जल्दी. So I want to do different, and that's how I started. Let's do that. Then there's a lot of controversy happened, and police didn't allow me to go there. But finally, we have been through all kind of thing. I think what's motivated me because I played 3 Olympics. I got Olympic medal, and I represent all the games, Asian Games. I got everything. So I want to do professional now. I want to do something else. I want to do something new, and that's motivate me. That's drive me. Like, let's do that thing. It's new for me, and I think Indian will like it. And the people, of course, they love me, and they love the sports. But after that, there is a democratization will happen. When we arrive, there is one show, and the whole it's all about brand. It's all about money. The whole market is gone after that. But there is a long story, and finally we are here now. It's 13-1, so it's all right.
Did you sort of enjoy being in this completely new world? I mean, tell the viewers about how different pro boxing is.
It's totally new. It's totally professional. It's not like that somebody going to help you. No, it's all about you. It's all you. That's it. It's nobody going to push you. Like, you will do that thing. You will do that thing. It's all about money. It's all about professional things there. Just go. Okay, there's a match. That day on next day we decide the date. Like, that day we're going to fight there, and there's 2 months or 1 month there. Just train there. That's the opponent you fight there. We're going to fight in London or somewhere else. That's it. And how it's more relaxing, I can say that, because there is no foundation or no boundaries. It's more relaxed. Just go there and just show it like you are the best. That's it.
You're saying it's more relaxing than an Olympic being an Olympic competition. That is quite something.
It's look like that because in Olympics we represent India, right? It's we go there, it's Olympic team, your whole thing is there. But in professional, you going there, Vijender Singh from India, okay, that's my team is there, because there's different between professional and amateur. But I achieved that thing already. I've been Olympic in 3 Olympics, and I got the Olympic medal. But in professional boxing, we hardly, like, there's few names in the professional boxing. They tried boxing, but they not achieved that big titles in the professional boxing. But I want to do that thing, relaxing in my mind, because there's no pressure from the government or federation or any kind of thing. That kind of thing, that kind of relaxation I got.
It's like an independent.
Yes, it's more like independent. You are signed with that, Frank Warren or Bob Arum or some Don King, or it's all about you and that promoter. That's it. That's what I want to say.
Itself, I mean, we had a conversation, me and Rudronil Simta, the sports editor of Hindustan Times. He also said that technically it's a completely different sport in many ways. So just a couple of things about that. Just to give an idea of the change that you had to make in you and just your capacity to be able to do this, to be comfortable and make the switch.
A switch, I think, because it's like 10 or 12 round fight, so you should be like more calm on your feet. It's not like that amateur like there is 3-round boxing. No, it's a 10 or 12 round. It's you should be more calm. You get more hit on your face. It's not like that you just 3 round and just go out. No, you should be there for like half an hour in the ring, and you get bitten in that ring. So just be calm. That's the main. Big change for me, because because I did a lot of amateur boxing in my whole life, but when I go there, so there's a big difference, because I start jumping and just move, and he say, my coach said, no, just relax, it takes time, just go slowly. It's not like that you just 3 rounds and just go out. No, you should be in the ring like half an hour, then you have to move accordingly. Just save your energy, save your tank, he always told me. And slowly, we starting from 4 round, then we go for 6, then 8 round, then 10 round, and I hope next year we'll go for 12 round. Yeah. So that's the big thing, and there's a lot of changes like accordingly, because very team thi like especially my coach GS Sandhu, my friends all was here, but when I switch, I have to leave my team here in India and joining a new team. So there's a lot of things we have to control when you go there. So like language, food, environment, everything is changed, but you have to be there and just being through like one day, like everything going to be all right, and finally it's all right.
You don't regret it at all. You're glad that you went and
sometimes I'm regret I should turn pro like earlier, like after 2009 or 2010. Sometimes I think, because when I go there, to then they saying like, okay, like how old are you? When I turned pro, that time I was 28. They say yaar bada late, like why you joining so late? I was in amateur boxing because I played 3 Olympics. Then they search about me in the Google and then say, oh, you are a good boxer. Yes, I'm a good boxer. So, yeah.
Quite interesting, Abhinav, when you listen to sort of the options that are available to athletes of various sports. I mean, going pro in shooting is obviously not a thing, but you've spent about more than 10 years now, as 20 years now, as someone in sport, as a competitor now on the outside. What kind of sort of mental adjustments do you think athletes should be ready to make? What are the transition opportunities that they should know that are there for them? How did you transition from being a competitor to walking out of Rio and saying, does anyone want my rifle, when your final was done? So what is your advice to everyone who's thinking of switching, changing, maybe doing something completely different? Like what Vijender says is extraordinary what he was able to do, because there are so many sort of things that are in our psyche as Indian athletes or young people or competitors, or sort of boxes we need to fit in.
Well, a transition out of sport is always going to be a difficult one. I think as athletes, we lead very unique lives, because we have a life as an active athlete, and then one day it abruptly ends, and then we have to start off life all over again. And I think athletes really need to be prepared for this transition, because more than anything, there is a change in self-identity, which is always very difficult to cope up with. And I think you need to prepare for this transition. If it happens very abruptly, I think that's when athletes struggle to a certain degree to really start off in life again. But I think it brings an interesting point on also how sport is developing in India. We have many young athletes now competing in sport, and which will also mean that we're going to have many more athletes fail in sport. Many young athletes fail in sport, because that is the very nature of sport. You will have more failure than success. And I think as a system, we all have a collective responsibility to also encourage a dual career, even as athletes, the role of education or just skilling up athletes for something other than just their sport, I think is very, very important. You have other countries, you look at the US system, which relies heavily on the collegiate system, for example. Education plays a very important role in the overall development. And I think for athletes world over, this is a big problem area. I think as athletes, we tend to develop very well as athletes, but we don't develop well enough as human beings while we are competing. And that's where I think the whole system world over needs to pay more attention to and just help build other skills in athletes as well, even when they are young, even when they are competing, to help them transition out of their way out of sport, because sports careers are also quite small. They're not that you can carry on for 40 years. It's a short period of time. It's the youth where the person is giving his or her life to. But if you can just have this concept of a dual career, I think it will also help athletes perform better when the going gets tough, perform better at a stage where there is pressure like at the Olympics. I think the worst thing to happen to an athlete is that he or she feels that his or her self-worth is dependent on where his or her name will feature on the ranking list. If you go into a competition with that frame of mind, it just gets tougher. So just to make sure that athletes also build a different skill, even while they are playing it. It's not that you have to reduce training time or anything. Even if you spend 1 hour a day, but make it part of the regime to help them do something different, equip them, skill them up, I think will help this transition to a great degree. For me personally, it was one of the better things I did in my sports career. I think I made lots of mistakes, but here I really planned for this transition. It wasn't an abrupt decision which I took. It took me 3 to 4 years to come to an understanding that yes, the Rio Games will be my last games, and I had to start thinking of life beyond that day as well. And that just helped me make a somewhat of a smoother transition. I'm still trying to gain my self-identity. I still don't really have one. I still struggle on certain days. But of course, I look back to the learnings that I had from sport, and all those learnings and the values that I had from sport to keep trying, to keep working hard, to keep having a goal, helps me even in my day-to-day life. So, well, while my sports career is definitely over, the learnings from sport, what I learned from sport, will remain true and valuable to me for the rest of my life in whatever I do.
Vijender, going on from what Abhinav has just said, what are your life learnings from your sport, and what would be the advice that you give to younger boxers that are there? From your life, what you have learned, your experiences, the risks and the changes that you make, what would you say to young boxers? And this is before I'll ask you about the Olympic boxers. But first of all,
I think never give up, because when I started boxing in 98 or 99, I went to state level tournament. In the first round, I was out. Then somehow I become a state champion. Then I went to that national level, and I went there in Calcutta, and I lost in that first round in national championship out. And then again, that the same thing happened in the international level also. But I never give up, because I want to do it. Like how it's possible, like how he can beat me, because iske bhi do aata, mere bhi do aata. How can he beat me? So it's kind of think like that's keep me motivating. Like I don't want to be quit. No, bro, I want to do it more. It's never give up. Just do it more, and always think positive. Never think like aisa nahi ho sakta, aisa nahi ho sakta. Kyun nahi ho sakta? Why not? What's the harm in that? Like you got a life. You have to do so many things in life. So just go on. Just whatever you got in your way. Just any opportunity. It's good or bad. It will decide after the decision. It's not like that. It will like okay, I got it. Like just try it, that one. It will, if you just win that thing. You got a good thing, everybody like happy. If you lose, you got experience. Then you can share with your next generation, with your kids, with your younger boxer. So just focus, just focus, keep going on, never give up. That's the thing.
Thinking about sort of a post boxing career for yourself, and would you advise younger boxers to say turn pro if you want to take a chance?
I
Particularly
think first you should get your Olympic medal. That's more important. You got a name, you got a fame, you got everything. And you got a good deal in the professional if you going with the Olympic medal or Asian Games gold medal or Commonwealth Games gold medal. That's a big deal. And turn professional, you can do it anytime. It's not a big deal. But you should be like more. You should be achieved like in a amateur. That's the big thing. I don't be say that like you should turn professional. It's in a like when you started. No, don't do that. Just first achieving that amateur, then turn professional. That's the advice for my young boxer. And I want to say one thing to all the athletes who are representing that Tokyo. Never give up. It's all right. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's all right because they played well. Like especially Manish Kaushik, he plays so good in that against that British guy. And there's Sumrinjit Kaur, that girl that he fought with that US boxer. So these are the young kids. They represent India in that Olympic level. So they are nervous because they belong to like small villages. So I know that what kind of pressure and what kind of thinking they have. So it's a big thing. It's all right. You got experience. Next time, just use that experience and just go and just achieve it there. So don't break your heart or anything. Just don't do it. Yeah.
Just a couple of things more, Vijender, about Lavlina and Satish and the bouts that they had. Satish was up against literally a world champion of enormous skill and enormous record and all of it, and he never gave up. And literally, he got bashed in. He took a lot of punches. Did you watch that match? And did you watch Lavlina? And
I seen that. I seen Satish fight. I know that before the fight because when he fought that against that Jamaican guy, so he got a big cut here. So I know that it's not going to be easy with that world champ with that Uzbekistan. So I know that it's going to be happen. So it's I seen that fight, but he fought so well. He fought with the courage, but it's part of the game. But Lavlina, she plays so good, like in that quarterfinal match against that Taipai with the straight punches. That's the big thing. That's what I like about her. And she enjoyed the game that time, And in the semi-final, because that's we know that she going to fight that against that world champion, and I know that it's going to happen. Yeah, so I know that and how she play like with the confidence that the Turkish girl. So, but it's all right. Next time, might be a lovely night. She will she gain more experience now, and she will beat her next time. Might be, Yeah.
We are just coming sort of towards the end of our conversation here. I could go on for a long time. Abhinav, now you said something to me just before we began about what it's been like the Olympics as a fan. Why don't you tell us that, and then I'll ask you another question. What's it been like?
Well, it's been incredibly exciting to watch. When I was competing, I was always assailed by a lot of anxiety, and I was a chicken-hearted person. But I can readily admit that it's much worse watching. I find it incredibly difficult to watch when we have close matches, and there's an Indian athlete, there's a medal at stake. I find it very difficult to watch. There have been many occasions where I've had to switch off the television. I just could not stomach the pressure, but I really felt it. But it's been really enjoyable to watch. I think the Olympic spirit, really has captured the hearts and minds of the entire country. I think every morning we all wake up with something interesting to follow, something interesting to watch. And I think more than the sporting action, I think more than what our athletes have done, there are lessons for everybody who's watching, lessons for the young boys and girls who form the majority of our population, can imbibe from just watching these Olympic Games. You have athletes who, as Vijender said, never give up. And we've had so many athletes going through. There has been heartbreak as well, and I think that's again so important for us as a society to learn on how to lose and how to lose well, how to fail well, how to accept failure, how to deal with failure. So I think on the whole, the Olympics have been amazing to watch, and I think I really hope that this again starts a new era in the development of sport in India, and a development in the whole area of Olympic sport. Of course, our athletes will continue to shine and continue to do well, but I think it is also about following these athletes year round. It's not just wake up once in 4 years, but continue to follow them, continue to watch them, continue to watch them play. And that in itself is a huge contribution each one of us can make. I mean, whenever, of course, when COVID stops, I want young boys and girls to go and watch the next district competition or the next club competition happening in your vicinity. Who knows that there will be an Olympic champion coming out of that very arena couple of years thereof. And there you make it already as just you're making an immense contribution by just going and supporting these athletes, just going and watching these athletes. When I competed, for example, in India, nobody ever came to watch me while I competed in India. And then suddenly I went to an Olympic Games, and suddenly there were 10,000 people in this final hall. It was tough. It was overwhelming. But I think it is time that everybody gets involved in Olympic sport and everybody contributes. And it's not just about contributing by giving resources. It is just also a huge contribution can be made by just following your athletes, going and watch them compete when the next championship is happening in your city.
Vijender, how much of the game did you watch? Are you an easy watcher? Are you a nervous watcher? What would you want amateur boxing, Indian boxing to become? What is your hope for it for the future? Do you think there should be changes, leagues, something about that?
I don't know. What should I say about that thing? Because they tried very hard. Like our boxer, it's not like that they give up easily. But that especially Amit and that Vikas Krishna, that performance surprised me because they lost in first round. Because Amit was like, he was world number one. He is world number one. And Vikas Krishna, he lost against the Japanese boy because he was already at that Asian Games gold medalist. So that performance surprised me. But before they going to Olympic, there should be class like psychology that they can release their stress here, or like someone there to be like whom they talk to, like him or her, anyone. Just go there, just tell them like I'm going through that kind of thing right now. If someone discuss how's you feeling before the Olympic, it's not that like there should be I don't know, like there should be a guy or anyone like they can discuss their problem with them. That's kind of, because they've been through a lot of pressure, and that's the thing I want to say, and yeah, it's not easy, but they perform well, and it takes time to be like reach that level, it takes time. Yeah, we've been there like slowly. Yeah.
Just to add
last
one point, Shah,
yes,
to what I was saying, we have this lovely Cheer for India campaign running at the moment. Let's not stop it at the Olympics. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going to Paris and beyond, which will be great for athletes also for athletes to get used to the spotlight being on them throughout the whole cycle. And I think also just to get people involved into lesser known sports through the whole cycle of an Olympic Games.
That's been terrific. Again, like I said, I could go on. For everyone watching, these are Abhinav Bindra and Vijender Singh.
I want to ask one thing to Abhinav here, because like what's going on in your mind when you have a gun at that time in your hand in 2008 Olympics? Because I want to always ask you, when you have that pistol in your hand and you are shooting, and like what's going on in your mind that time? Do you feel any kind of pressure, or do you calm, or do you know the score, or what kind of like thoughts you getting? If like I'm a boxer, I can tell my thing, but you are a shooter, right? You are. So what going through in your mind that time? that's the question I want to ask you all the time whenever I met you, but finally I got the chance. So yeah.
It is. आप ऐसे इमेजिन करो, आपको एक 10 स्टोरी की बिल्डिंग को ऊपर क्लाइम करना है, एंड यू हैव टू क्लाइंब अ फ्लाइट ऑफ स्टेयर्स, और 10 स्टोरीज आपको भाग के ऊपर क्लाइम करना है, और जैसे आप क्लाइम करो सडनली यू हैव टू स्टैंड एब्सोल्युटली स्टिल और अपना हार्ट रेट बिल्कुल काम करना होता है. सो इट इज रियली रियली डिफिकल्ट, क्योंकि अनलाइक अदर स्पोर्ट्स, व्हेन यू गेट दिस एड्रेनलिन, ये प्रेशर आता है, ये जो एनर्जी आती है, आपके पास कोई आउटलेट होता है. इस स्पोर्ट में तो आपको सब अंदर ही रखना होता है. It is like dying 100 deaths and just trying to find calm in chaos. Pura mind is totally out of order. Everything is out of order. But किसी तरह you have to get your skill together. किसी तरह you have to find adaptability. You have to find creativity, because उस time तो पसीने छूटे होते हैं. Your heart attack आने वाला होता है. I think मैंने अपनी लाइफ में 3 ओलंपिक फाइनल खेले हैं, और मैंने अपनी लाइफ में आई थिंक उन 3 एक्सपीरियंसेस में मैं कभी इतना जिंदा नहीं फील किया. मेरे को कभी इतना पता नहीं था कि मेरा हार्ट इतना तेज बीट भी कर सकता है, और वो भी कुछ कर भी नहीं रहा था. मैं तो खाली खड़ा हुआ था. I was just standing and trying to stand still, and my heart was beating at 200 beats per minute. I'm glad अब तो वो हार्ट रेट मॉनिटर भी दिखाने लग गए हैं ड्यूरिंग कंपटीशन. मैं तो बहुत खुश हूँ, मैं रिटायर कर गया, नहीं तो सब मेरे ऊपर हंसते कि और मेरा जो अंदर चल रहा था सबको दिख जाता. So it is
but what you did in that Olympic, that's a really big deal, and we always appreciate you. Like you are the role model, and I always like tell people be like that. He's the first individual Olympic gold, and nobody can achieve that thing till now. But it's a really big thing, Abhinav sir, and it's a special, it is not that easy. Because
proud of you. You've done so much for boxing. You continue to display. So all credit to you, and really wish you all the very best.
Thank you, sir.
No words. We can't say anything else. This is the best time to go. Abhinav, Vijender, thank you so much for all the memories, all the fun, and all the conversation. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care, Abhinav sir. Take care.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the engaging and immersive conversations with our sporting moguls. With this, we have come to an end to day 1. But remember, HT NxT carries on till September 23rd. So join us again next week. Every Thursday, we are going to continue with a lot more newsmakers. Coming up in the week ahead, we have Naveen Tiwari, the CEO of InMobi, the founder and CEO of Niramayi, Dr. Geeta Manjunath, co-founder and CEO of Math Street Den, Ashwini Ashokan, and the director and CEO of Dang's Lab, Dr. Naveen and Dr. Arjun Dang. So join us next week on Thursday at 5 p.m. Till then, goodbye.
गाइस कल मेरी नई बाइक आ रही है.
Great. तब तो I will come with Rohan every day.
इंश्योरेंस है.
तुझे क्या लगता है? इंश्योरेंस, पीयूसी सब कुछ है.
I was talking about life insurance for Sia.
Jokes apart, guys, but आज मजा कल सजा नहीं होनी चाहिए.
Seriously, life insurance तो जरूरी है.
LIC का न्यू जीवन आनंद देता है डबल फायदा. मैच्योरिटी पे मिले फुल पेमेंट और लाइफ कवर चले जिंदगी भर.
हेलो, इंश्योरेंस है क्या?